Great things are happening, great things the Lord has done, greater things he will do. If you have faith, Abrahamic faith, if you like. Indeed, that is what we believe, and that is why we do what we do. We call this the AM Show, or if you like, the Ben and Sweetie Show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo.
And I'm Sweetie Abochi. Today is Friday, of course, the 23rd day of May 2025. Let's tell you quickly what we have in store for you today on this 4-hour packed show. We start with the AM News, the very first news bulletin on the Joy News channel. And after that, we review the newspapers. But before that, if you've been following us the entire week, you realize that we bring you sports before the news review. And that will happen again today. And after that, so the news review will be joined by Andrew Appiah-Dankwa. He's spokesperson for Movements for Change. Professor Isaac Boydi, he's Dean, Accounting and Finance at UPSA. And Kwame Nkrumah Botuo, he's General Secretary for the CPP. That is for our news review segment. And then our big stories.
Well, it will usher us to that topical conversation. Legal, again, that video purporting to be the subject to have 2 justices removed from the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice under scrutiny now. We've seen the footage, just a few seconds, but what does it entail if you've not seen the footage yet? We'll bring you the video and we'll give you the details in respect of this somewhat just about 20 seconds or less video and what purportedly it has done or hasn't done. We'll bring you details of that.
Also, we'll look at a private citizen who's filed complaint against the former Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, at the Ghana Legal Council for unethical conduct, occasioned in the famous Atuforsen trial, in which a secret tape found in a conversation with Richard Jakpa, an accused person, has been making airwaves. Exactly how does all these events play out? We'll discuss this on the AM show, and you are invited to join us with your comments and your thoughts. Remember, across all social media platforms, we are Joy News on TV. And hopefully, we get to open the phone lines at the tail end of the show, then you get to have your say. Folks, let's start now with the AM News. This is the AM News. I'm Sweetie Abochi. Let's get into the details right away. The Accra decongestion exercise hit a snag after traders at the Circle Neoplan bus stop returned to the area just a day after their makeshift structures were demolished. Despite the Wednesday clearance, the traders were back on Thursday morning, selling their wares and occupying the area. The Assembly's task force has responded by confiscating goods and mattresses from the traders. But the defiance raises questions about the effectiveness of the decongestion efforts. Of course, our man on the ground, James Aveji, has the rest of the story.
Our first stop on day 3 of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly decongestion exercise was at the second new plant bus stop, where dozens of makeshift structures were destroyed on Wednesday. Surprisingly, the traders were back less than 24 hours after the exercise.
From what we are seeing this morning, 24 hours down the lane, the squatters are gradually moving back to the bus stop where the decongestion exercise had happened yesterday. The conversation amongst them is that they currently do not have a place they will be moving to permanently, and so they are still hanging around, hoping to settle in fully.
Minutes later, the task force moved in to confiscate the items and destroy others they cannot carry away.
The truck is driving away the items of the squatters, which they had brought back this morning, as we have come to see. Their trading tables, the makeshift tables, the boxes in which some of their wares are kept are being driven away now. You see the AMA task force with a number of the national security operatives still on the ground. They have come after we reported that the squatters are back to the place.
The director has mandated through the National Security Coordinator, put 3 permanent security officers here. Permanent security officers here to ensure daily routine inspection and enforcement here. And we are going to ensure that this place is as clean as it is as at now. Nobody will sell here. That is the truth. This is a bus stop. You can bear with me.
While this was ongoing, a watcher seller was busy serving customers at the center of the next bus stop just across the road. Her table and bench were seized. The mayor, Nick Pakboalote, has also directed taxi drivers loading at the entrance of the VIP station to relocate to the main station. The team terminated Thursday's exercise at the Kaneshi footbridge, where they drove traders away on Tuesday.
With what we are seeing is the best. We wish it will continue. It will not be like a political show or gimmick whereby after some time they will have to come back. So if they can bring the securities here day and night, it will help all of us. As you can see, look at it. Everybody is walking freely, which is a very good thing to all of us. They should all go to the market. That is where the market is made for them. They should go there and stop selling over here.
With a level of endorsement and renewed confidence imposed in this exercise, especially by influential people like the Garmanche, when the mayor visited him on Wednesday, one could only wish that the assembly succeeds in this fight. James Savaji, Joy News, Accra.
Moving on, government has averted a shutdown of public universities after the Finance Ministry agreed to honor demands for improved service conditions for 3 striking staff unions. The Senior Staff Association of Ghana, the Federation of Senior Staff Association, and the Technical University Administrators Association had declared an indefinite strike on Wednesday, accusing successive governments of neglecting a 6-month-old agreement. Just 2 days into the action, the striking workers have called off the strike, and we'll tell you more in this report.
Public universities across the country remain quiet. At KNUST and Kumasi Technical University, administrative blocks were locked, laboratories shut, and critical services stalled. But there's a glimmer of hope. Just 48 hours into the nationwide industrial action, the Finance Ministry has approved revised rates of allowances for the 3 aggrieved unions, paving the way for a resolution.
I must say that it is refreshing that the strike has been called off and all members have been asked to report to work tomorrow.
Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Apak says government remains committed to ensuring the welfare of the non-teaching staff.
In just 24 hours, government has moved swiftly to address this matter. So yes, we believe that we will be able to meet our obligations to the people of Ghana, including obligations that we inherited from the previous government.
For months, the unions claimed they had been pushed to the wall with no action on the signed agreement. The absence has disrupted campus life from hospital workers to lab assistants and security staff. Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education, Professor Jinapo Abdullahi, called for more dialogue in order not for the academic calendar to be disrupted.
And let us not disrupt the academic calendar. It is too early for us to be engaging on strikes on the wheels of things that are solvable. But as the chairman indicated in his statement, I think the Honorable Minister for Education has been extremely instrumental in getting this issue resolved. And if there's any commendation, it needs to go to him and his colleague, the Finance Minister, for getting this behind us.
With the Finance Ministry's green light, the unions are expected to meet soon, raising hopes that by next week, normalcy could return to campuses.
In other news, the Environmental Protection Authority and the National Biosafety Authority have raised red flags over rising threats to public health and safety, pointing to environmental pollution and unauthorized genetically modified organisms in the food chain. But they say their hands are tied due to inadequate funding. More in this report.
The Environmental Protection Authority is ringing the alarm on a silent but deadly threat, antimicrobial resistance driven in part by pollution in water, air and soil. According to the EPA, bacteria and viruses are gradually becoming resistant to antibiotics, creating a looming health crisis. The authority attributes this growing resistance to multiple factors, including environmental contamination. Professor Manama Brown-Kluche is chief executive of the EPA.
So there are bacterials, they are in the system, they are in the air, they are in the water we drink, they are in the food that we eat. So they are in the environment, and we need to be prepared on how we can protect the people and the environment as against that. So the EPA has taken it up as an emerging issue, and we are having discussions within about it. And we are doing the awareness as well to the people, and so those who are selling food, the food vendors, those who are treating our water bodies, and even for air quality measurement, we are looking at all of these areas for these antimicrobial issues.
Chairman and ranking member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Environment, Science and Technology are promising improved funding to help the authority scale up efforts.
EPA moving from an agency to authority must be clothed with the necessary funding so they can perform the additional responsibilities bestowed on them from the transition from agency to authority. And what is this thing that we are talking about? It's about money.
They have been given more responsibility to carry out. We're expecting them to do that. So as a committee, we are ready to support them to realize their dreams.
At the National Biosafety Authority, another concern emerged. Unapproved genetically modified organisms are being found on the market. In view of this, Chief Executive of the NBA, Kwame Dey Asamoah-Ochre, proposed corrective measures to curb the situation.
4 key challenges that we believe the committee can help us address. So the first one is the presence of unapproved GMOs on the market, and this results in exposure of the public and the environment to potential harms. Since we haven't had risk assessments of these products, we really cannot affirm in terms of their safety. So in terms of the corrective measures, we're looking at integrating our import and export workflows into the ICOMS, the Integrated Customs Management System. As we sit in that gateway, we'll be able to see all that is coming and all that is going, so that if there's anything, at the moment we are not there.
From drug resistance to food safety, Ghana's regulators say the threats are clear, but without money, solutions remain out of reach.
The Apinto Jasehini Nana Dr. Dakwa Bediako III is urging Goldfields Ghana Limited to prioritize the reclamation of degraded lands, especially for cocoa farming. He believes this could be a sustainable way to combat the devastating effects of illegal mining on the environment. His call follows the launch of the Cocoa Farmers Support Program by the Goldfields Ghana Foundation in Takwa. And the initiative is designed to empower farmers and help restore livelihoods beyond the mining sector. Here's more.
With global cocoa prices on the rise, local farmers continue to face setbacks due to poor soil health and widespread land degradation. Nana Dr. Bediako says restoring cocoa farms destroyed by illegal mining with the backing of projects like this can significantly improve incomes and living conditions in affected communities.
Through the activities of Galamsey, cocoa board claims we have lost over 40,000 hectares of cocoa land. And this is because a lot of the cocoa lands have been sold for mining. In as much as we are fighting to ensure that the Galamsey menace stops, it's also necessary for us to look at making sure that we reclaim the lands that has already been wasted so that we can use it for the planting of cocoa. It's long overdue that the people of Ghana will come together and ensure that lands that have been used for Galamsey are not left bare, but be used again for cocoa plantation.
The Cocoa Farmers Support Program was first introduced in Daman in 2018. Following its success, the initiative is now being extended to Tarkwa with hopes of replicating that impact. Manager of Goldfields Tarkwa Mines, Katrin Kupol Couture, noted that while cocoa farming has always been part of the area's economy, its full potential has yet to be realized. She expressed optimism that the support program will help turn things around.
With over 1 million farmers relying on cocoa farm production for their livelihoods. Currently, the producer price for the 2024-2025 season is 3,100 Ghana cedis per the 64 kilo of the cocoa bag. Despite this importance, the cocoa sector continues to face challenges. These assistance included Cocoa Board approved fertilizers, fungicides, pesticides, and other things. This comprehensive support resulted in remarkable improvement of about 77% increase in the average cocoa yield among the beneficiary farmers.
Deputy CEO of Cocoa Board, Atop Watson, commended the foundation's efforts, adding that the initiative aligns perfectly with Cocoa Board's renewed drive to revitalize the cocoa sector under its current leadership.
And I can say for sure that this program is in line with government policy. And that policy is essentially to increase cocoa output in Ghana. And we believe that with what Goldfields Ghana is doing and with what Cocoa Board is doing, we should be able to turn around the outputs in the Western South region, especially the Tarkwa area. So we strongly support what Cocoa Board and what Goldfields Ghana is doing with the farmers.
Over the next 5 years, at least 300 farmers in the Tarkwa enclave will benefit from the program. They will receive Cocoa Board approved fertilizers and pesticides, as well as training in best farming practices and agroforestry techniques, all aimed at promoting sustainable cocoa cultivation in the region. For Joy News, in Athalia Kwanza, Tarkwa.
From Tarkwa, let me take you now to the Upper West region, where the Regional Minister Charles Luanga Posing has disclosed that the NDC government is committed to increasing the number of Ghana School of Law campuses across the country. Ghana currently has 4 law school campuses, all located in the southern part of the country. He stated that it is the government's commitment to ensure that individuals who wish to pursue legal education have access to it. Charles Luanga made this statement at the maiden moot court competition for students of the Simon Diodong Dombo University Business and Integrated Development Studies in Wa. Of course, Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The Simon Diodong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies added to its list of schools and programs the School of Law and matriculated its first batch of students a couple of years ago. The aim is to cater for the growing demand for legal professionals in the Upper West region of Ghana and beyond. The need is driven by the university's commitment to regional development and its desire to offer more diverse and specialized academic programs. The pioneering students are now in the last leg of the course and expected to complete before the end of September. The SDD UBITS School of Law therefore held its maiden moot court competition, which was attended by key stakeholders in legal education, judiciary, lawyers, academia, and students of the School of Law. At the yet-to-be-completed auditorium was Charles Wanga, the regional minister, and so too was Charles Wanga, the lawyer, who laid bare his intent for the university shortly before he launched the first moot court competition.
Your university, in short, UBIS, is one of the early beneficiaries of the GET Fund projects that will be undertaken this year. We know they are uncompleted. This uncompleted auditorium will be completed, the library, and it's my intention that whilst minister, a proper and a befitting law school will be built for the university.
He also spoke of the commitment of the NDC government to increasing campuses of the Ghana School of Law.
Currently, the Ghana School of Law runs 4 campuses, 3 in the Greater Accra region and 1 in the Ashanti region. And it only behoves government to ensure that the upper middle belt, which is the Ahafo, Bono East, and the Bono area, as well as Northern Ghana, also have campuses for the Ghana School of Law to create more access to legal education to persons that hail or educate or reside within these areas. So I believe that by the end of the tenure of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we should have other campuses that are closer to us than all of us trooping to Greater Accra or Ashanti region.
Vice Chancellor of SDDU Bates, Professor Emmanuel Kenchibe-Deribli, is happy that things are beginning to take proper shape at the university despite the initial challenges.
I'd like to highlight that from a humble beginning and a humble context, I think we have a little over 400 students in the law school, and this year we would have close to 70 students graduating, and we are preparing them to write the professional exam.
Principal State Attorney at the Upper West Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, Lawyer Said Abdul Shakur, enjoined the students to see law as an advocacy and give in their best to get to the ultimate.
Remember what Taylor said in Bonsu versus Bonsu, 1971, GLR, specifically at page 260. Taylor J said, this law is about 3 things: case law, statute law, and the practices of the court. So what we are going to do today, we expect to see the case law, we expect to do the statute law, and we expect to see the practices of the court. Anything short of that is not moot court. The law is essentially about advocacy. Otherwise, it's about nothing.
Supervising High Court Judge Justice Alaji Yusuf Asibi noted that the law profession is a noble one which many are craving to join. He however averred that it cannot be gotten on a silver platter, urging the students to take their studies seriously. SDDU's Law Students Union President Nero Zagu also had some thoughts on the moot court competition.
We set a foundation for our students to participate in national and international moot court competitions. And since the school is just new, we are hoping to also use this platform to reach out to stakeholders from the region and out, and also to announce our presence in Ghana.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
From WA, let's get into our business update now with Benjamin Akapu.
A warm welcome to our business updates for this morning, and we kickstart matters with our currency market. Let's get into our stories now. And the government will today borrow 5.55 billion Ghana cedis on the treasury market. Now, this will be done via the issuance of 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day bills. There's more in this report.
The funds will be used to settle maturing bills worth 5.35 billion Ghana cedis. Demand for the short-term instrument has declined in recent times, with the government missing its target for the third consecutive week. Last week, investors submitted 5.35 billion cedis in bids, but the Treasury took only 2.76 billion Ghana cedis, a sharp pullback from the previous week's full acceptance. The auction fell short of the 6.68 billion Ghana cedis target and 6.44 billion Ghana cedis in upcoming maturities. Yields on the 91, 182, and 364-day bills dipped week on week. Some analysts say the Treasury's selective acceptance reflects a deliberate effort to contain upward yield pressure despite tightening liquidity, as institutional demand shifts toward the Bank of Ghana's 56-day bill, which raised 10.9 billion Ghana cedis last week.
Now, accounting and auditing firm Deloitte has emphasized the need for homegrown policies to tackle domestic inefficiencies that could undermine Ghana's current economic progress. According to Associate Director of Financial Advisory at Deloitte, Dennis Brown, these policies would help address pressing issues such as elevated inflation and foreign exchange shortages. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Brown maintained by implementing homegrown economic reforms, Ghana could create a more stable economic environment.
Yeah, we did mention domestic inefficiencies in our report. And if we talk about domestic inefficiencies, I could cite two major ones. On the monetary side, for instance, I did mention that if we are not careful and create perception of there being shortage in supply of the USD, the market will react, in a way that will hurt us. So people will rush for dollars to hold it because there's a sense that it might be in shortage, and that then will kick us into significant depreciation. They will then have a pass-through effect that will then begin to, increase inflation. Then we also talked about fiscal discipline, which is also a domestic measure. If government fails to maintain the fiscal discipline that it has, followed so far, then we are going to run into issues on the supply side, right? Domestic inefficiencies that exist already in relation to, for instance, the value chains that are underdeveloped. We talked about this several times, that there are productive, sectors of the economy that are doing well in terms of production at the primary end, but how the goods find their way into the market, there are so many bottlenecks that then creates, opportunities for those in the middle line to profiteer, and at the end of the day, the final price to the consumer, is increased. If we can fix those bottlenecks along the various value chains across the multiple industries that we have, then we'll be able to also keep inflation at bay. So these are some of the domestic inefficiencies that we have to use homegrown policies to address.
Well, from there, let's head right into our commodities market for today. And that's how we cap off our business updates for you this morning. But as an extension of the news, you can expect sports coming your way right up next. We'll be right back.
To Sports Now on the AM show, my name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, Ghanaian boxing icon Professor Azumah Nelson is set to be honored once again by the World Boxing Council as part of the Global Body's Year of Africa celebrations, with a major boxing event scheduled to take place in Accra next month. Now, there's more in this report.
The stage is set for a night of boxing history in Accra as Ghana prepares to host the Battle of the Beasts on June 13 at the Bukum Boxing Arena. The mega fight night marks exactly 21 years since Azumah Nelson became the first African boxer to be included in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now 66, Nelson, fondly known as the Professor, will be honored for his legendary career and enduring influence in the sport. Nelson first captured global attention in 1984 when he knocked out Puerto Rico's Wilfredo Gomez to claim the WBC featherweight title. He went on to dominate the ring for over a decade, winning world titles in 2 weight divisions and becoming Africa's most decorated boxer. Organized by Legacy Rise Sports Promotions, led by Sharaf Mahama, in collaboration with American Promotions, the event is a major highlight of the WBC's Year of Africa 2025 campaign, an initiative celebrating African boxing talent, past and present. The headline bout features the maiden WBC African Bridgeweight title clash between Nigerian-American Andrew the Beast Tabiti and Ghana's own Jacob the Beast Dixon. Both men carry power and pride into the ring, promising a fiery showdown. But beyond the titles and the belts, the night belongs to Azumah Nelson, a champion whose legacy continues to inspire generations across the continent.
He did. Azumah Nelson to the attack. Wait a minute, Oscar Kenny steps in and it's all over. It's all over. It's going to throw in the towel, Steve. They threw in the towel and it was all over.
Premier League and Communications and Brands Manager of Nations FC, Kennedy Boachi Ansah, has expressed the club's determination to go all out in pursuit of the 2024-25 Ghana Premier League title. The Abrankesi-based side currently sits 1 point clear at the top of the table with just 3 matches remaining in the season. Nations FC have won 4 of their last 5 games as they push to secure their first ever Premier League crown.
I think that it's been a very beautiful ride for Nations FC this season. Probably we picked up from our performance from last season where at the end of the league season, Nations FC placed 8th. So in that regard, we needed to augment our squad, brought in some quality players, hence the team's placing on the league table as we speak. So if you ask me, I'll say it's been a very beautiful ride and we are going all out for it. I'm sure before the league started, almost all the 18 clubs' ambitions were to be crowned champions, and that also includes Nations FC. And from the work done so far, there's nothing that is going to stop the club from being crowned as champions of the 2024-2025 Ghana Premier League season. Beyond that, yes, indeed, we are fired up, and indeed we will also augment our squad. We're already in the market looking to augment the team. Whatever we've been able to achieve so far, we also want to improve upon that in the Cup Champions League, which we are aiming at. For the league, we'll take it 1 game at a time. Our immediate assignment is against FC Samates on Sunday at the Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex. We believe that we have the capacity to deliver the 3 points on Sunday.
Now, Asante Kotoko head coach Karim Zito is planning a different game plan as the Porcupines come up against second-place side BBN Gold Stars. Kotoko sits 4th on the table, 3 points shy of top spot. Now, Kotoko, who are unbeaten under coach Zito, hope to extend that run in their quest of winning the trophy.
The approach will be very serious, but we should admit it. We are going to meet one of the best one of the best team in the league today on Sunday. They are very good and they have more advantage by playing at home. So we double our tax seriously in meeting them. So we are preparing towards that.
Coach, you are meeting a side that, as you rightly pointed out, has this experienced coach that you know so well, and then experienced players. Does it make it different in terms of your approach to other games?
Well, it will be because this is a team that is questioned prior to in the league. So definitely they will never sit down for anybody to stop them from winning the league. And we are also we want to be competitive in the quest for the league. So definitely it will be very tough for both of us. It won't be easy. It will be very tough for both of us. Even though they star advantage, because if you are going to play at home, you really have the advantage more than the person coming. But that will not deter us from coming in for what we wanted.
Coach, last Sunday you scored 4 goals, and most of the supporters and then pundits of the game are saying that they really enjoyed that game. I think coaches will always say that the work ethics of their players makes the job a bit easier. How would you rate the work ethic of your players?
Well, I think they are responding very well to the dynamics of the game. You know, I'm a new coach. They've already started with somebody, and I like their attitude of learning, because when the only thing in learning is you learn to listen and listen to learn, and they are doing it.
Yeah, these are the fixtures to look forward to this weekend. House of Folk, they come up against Accra Lions, and Aduana Stars, they take on the already relegated Legon Cities. Bechem United, they take on Basake Holy Stars, and of course the big one, the top liner this weekend. Gold Stars, they host Asante Kotoko at the Dance Park. Dreams FC take on Brecum Chelsea. Midiama, their game against Nswantraman obviously will not come on because Nswantraman withdrew from the league, and 3 points and 3 goals have been awarded to Midiama. Nations FC, they take on Samatex. Vision come up against Karela United, and Young Apostles, they host Heart of Lions. Now, Manchester United's Europa League final loss to Spurs has resulted in a 7% drop in shares, equating to around £160 million, according to the Financial Times. Sky Sports has more.
United's shares are one of the biggest fallers on the New York Stock Exchange today. The shares have fallen 8% so far. Last night they closed at $14.54. At the moment they are trading at $13.38, so down 8%. And if you look at what's happened to the Manchester United share price over the past couple of years, you'll see here, for instance, there was a real spike at the end of 2022. That is when news came out that the Glazer family were considering selling Manchester United. So the share price shot up. And then you see there, early in 2023, again, the share price went as high as $26. That is double what it is at the moment. And the reason it went so high is because news emerged that the Qatari banker Sheikh Jassim had made an offer of £4 billion to buy Manchester United. Obviously, he ended up walking away. Jim Ratcliffe, back in February last year, bought his stake of around 27%. He actually paid $33 a share. So when he bought his stake, Manchester United were valued at £4 billion. Now, those shares that Jim Ratcliffe paid $33 for are now worth around $13. Goodness. And United's market capitalisation at the moment is not £4 billion. It is around £1.7 billion. And if you remember a couple of years ago, we were always told that the reason the Qataris walked away is because they just thought Manchester United is not worth what the Glazer family are asking. United are not worth £5-6 billion. We're walking away. At the moment, their market capitalisation is £1.7 billion.
So just put that into perspective then for us. So what is the actual loss then for them? You know?
Well, look, what happens is the reason the share price falls is people are selling their shares.
Yeah.
And the reason they're selling their shares at the moment is because United lost last night. They're not going to be in the Champions League. They're not going to be in Europe next season. That means they're missing out on a potential £150 million. So people waking up in New York this morning who own these shares, or all around the world, are selling the shares. And that is why the price is falling. But of course, share prices can go up as well as down. I'm sure if things improve on and off the pitch at United, the share price will start rising again.
And that's it for sports on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. The newspaper review continues right after this. Please stay.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. But don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Way Lead Properties. They lead the way in delivering quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. And joining us for the news review, we have Andrew Apiadankwa, his spokesperson, Movement for Change, Professor Isaac Bwedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, and Kwame Nkrumah Botsio, General Secretary of the CPP. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Nowadays, I remember the last time the shirt was...
I have to catch up with you.
You have to catch up. This one, you've overtaken me. You're in a comfortable lead.
The trophy, you must share.
We must share.
You must share sources.
Honorable Kobash.
Honorable Kobash and Honorable Ben, you must share your source.
Okay, gentlemen. Prof. Bwedi is also looking, lovely as always.
Prof, you learn from the best.
And you decided to go with an azure light blue shade. Come on. Let's not do Liverpool Man U here. Gentlemen, your quick thoughts this morning. I'll start with you, Prof.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for us?
Two things. First of all, to thank your outfit for your support during our national dialogue on tax leakages in Ghana. You came in your numbers, you supported us. We are grateful as a faculty and by extension, the University of Professional Studies. The second thing is on the, I want to commend this administration, the NDC administration. Now we don't see these Nigerians on the street anymore. I'm happy that we are not seeing these
Which stretches do you usually use where you're not seeing them anymore? On my stretch too, I mean, when I use 37 and others, I don't see them. But I want to know which stretch.
Yeah, in fact, most places that have, the various traffic lights that I've noticed, I mean, I don't see them anymore. And it happened, I think, last week or so. Now, if you go through the streets of Accra, you don't see these individuals. It was becoming embarrassing at a point in time. But through our conversations, I'm sure the last 2 weeks ago when I came here, I mentioned that. And I want to thank this administration for taking that bold initiative to flush these individuals out. I have heard other comments from Child Right International.
Indeed, I was about to avert your mind to that.
Yeah, stating that they didn't do the right thing by getting these individuals out. In fact, sometimes some of the comments are difficult to understand because they've been here all this while. Didn't they see these individuals struggling in the street of Accra, harassing passengers, drivers on the streets? What did they say? What did they do? If they have mansions, they have property somewhere they want to accommodate it, yes, you do. But if they don't have anything, sometimes they shouldn't poke their nose into some internal issues in our country. These individuals were worrying everyone on the street. Now that they've been flushed out, you issue a statement that we didn't treat them well. They should come back again. That's not the best approach. There are certain occasions that they've been fighting for individual rights and all that, but sometimes they get it wrong. So we commend this administration for taking that bold initiative. There are some few sellers also on this road. I don't know when we are going to have a solution to the streets, the hawkers.
The central business district, the decongestion is ongoing.
It's ongoing.
But it's still problematic. Some people after 24 hours, they are back.
They are back. Yeah. And the fight sometimes, So I'm sure the ministers, those in charge, should be up and doing and get some sanity in our system. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. To be fair to Bright Apea and the Child Rights International, I think in the past they've spoken about some of these issues. You know, per the law, both of you are lawyers. Children should enjoy certain rights, including not being forced into labor at a tender age, going to school and all of that. They are all in our constitution. But then again, the picture comes in, these are not Ghanaians, but how do you take care of? You know, the law also deals with, is it foundlings in your territory and how to treat them and all of that. But we must also not forget that within even the ECOWAS protocols, you can go to another ECOWAS country, but not beyond 6 months. A lot of these people have been here for. And when the Ghana Immigration Service swooped on them, some were saying, oh, we are only here for food and all of that. So it's interesting. Interesting makes for interesting debate. But anyway, let me come to you, Andy.
Yeah, so let me take this opportunity to wish lovely viewers a good morning and wish this solid team, what a solid team, a good morning. I think what my thoughts is, what in my view seems to be an opportunity for us.
So I would encourage you to speak up a little for us.
So what I've been thinking about this morning is, my view, what I wanted to be an opportunity for us to entrench constitutional democratic principles. I mean, the principles of accountability, the principles of separation of powers, the principles of the independence of the judiciary.
Okay, so would have to work slightly on your. So let me just do this. Let me try Kwame Nkrumah Boatio. I'll get back to you in a bit. Kwame Nkrumah, what are your thoughts for us?
My two quick thoughts about how I'm happy the authorities are listening, and especially listening to subjects that we have discussed here. I believe the current administration watches this station and even this program, because coincidentally, when Prof mentioned about the children on the streets, I remember a few years ago I interviewed one little girl. She said she's from Niger, Arab looking. Said she's 10 years old in class 2, and coming here to beg is actually a holiday job, and those with her are not her parents. So it's a whole, some come with their children.
They are just her handlers.
They are handlers, so it's a whole economy. And she's, what impressed me is apparently the Ghanaian currency is a big deal when she comes from in Niger, and that's what she uses to pay her school fees. I mean, I was moved with compassion. When she was telling me her story, she started crying. So
in other words, during vacation, she comes here to beg, makes some money, and then takes it back to be able to get to school.
The parents and all that. You see, but it's not the best way to treat these children, and it's not a good way to live, because these people have been on the streets since I was born. I mean, they've been here for all these years, and it's a good call by Prof, and it's a good thing by the current administration to get them off the streets so that we find better ways to help them as our fellow Africans. We can't look at them begging. And lastly, also, I'm happy to see that Her Excellency Nana Opoku-Agyeman is back here. Just last week, we called for prayers for her on the program in accordance with 1 Timothy 2:1-4. And to hear her voice on radio this morning, I was just filled with joy. That's what I would say.
And on the issue of the street urchins, the children, mendicants, there's also the issue of criminality, because some of them end up engaging in activities that you wouldn't want to see. So there must be a balance. But in the end, we need our streets to be free. Pedestrian walks must be free for pedestrians to walk. You shouldn't be assaulted. Look, sometimes, there are times where I've been startled. Sometimes, why do I shit? You are thinking of something, and then all of a sudden, from the corner of your eye, boom, your heart, hey, what is happening? Before you see that it's someone coming to you. And sometimes they are so aggressive. And then, I mean, it could give someone a heart attack, right in mid-traffic. Anyway, Andy.
Yeah, so I hope it's clear now. So essentially what's on my mind is an opportunity that we've all been faced, as in we've been granted as a nation, trench constitutional democratic principles, principles of accountability, principles of government. Sadly, we seem to be playing politics with it, like we always do. As in, for my view, a process that we ought to take as an opportunity to entrench these principles, whose focus is to guarantee us the rule of law, we are playing petty politics with same. For me, it's important for all of us to understand that for
So what specifically are you talking about?
So the CJ.
The CJ. Okay, I suspected, but I just wanted to. So you say the CJ thing, we are playing politics.
Yeah, we are playing on, as in sadly, we are playing, as we've reduced this very important matter to a matter of, once again, of NDC versus NDC. And in my view, I think that the onus lies more on government than the opposition. So in my view, a very simple things need to be done to entrench our belief in the system. Now, this means that even though the Constitution is saying that it must be done in camera, for instance, when the decision was made to suspend the CJ, that decision comes after a prima facie case has been made. My view is that they needed to publish a reasoned opinion on why, in their view, a prima facie case had been made. You understand? Because we can't succeed in defeating the idea that is more of a witch hunt than...
Andy, please, let me do this. My apologies. Let me bring in General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodria Frimpong. He joins the conversation on the back of, you remember, we all call him Adenta Kumi Abebio. He blew the whistle on that purported video of the meeting between the judges and, Thaddeus Sory. And what has been posted is that he has been picked up by some CID and national security operatives. So that's the video you see in the background. But let me bring in Justin Kodria Frimpong. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. What can you confirm for us that is happening at the home of Kumi Abebio?
Yes, so just this morning I received a distressful call from Adenta Kumi, as we all call it, that some armed men, normally about 20, have come to his house at Adenta. So I asked him, can he identify them? And he said he was inside the house, but they are outside, and they have been banging on gates that he should come out. So I told him, hold on, that I'll be there not too far from the reached about 20 minutes. So on my way to the house, I received from the wife, been picked up and sent into National Security Office. So I'm in the house. At the fact that the way in which they picked him up is a disgrace to our country.
Justin, I seem to be losing you a little. You said the way and manner in which what?
The way and manner in which he has been picked up is a disgrace to our country, the disgrace to rule of law, and it's a shame that this time out, where we are practicing the
Can you please describe the way and manner, since you say it's disgraceful?
Yes, because when I got there, according to the wife, they broke into the house.
Okay.
They have destroyed his doors, and they used the back of the gun that they were holding to hit a woman who lives in the house. And I'm very surprised that those officers who came there can go on that tangent. In any case, what crime has Adenta Kumi committed? This is a person who has seen something which is wrong. And just as a responsible citizen, he petitioned the president. He hasn't gotten any response. And all of a sudden, he has been picked up. What are they trying to achieve? Are they trying to put fear into him? Are they trying to intimidate him? If someone has written an official petition, the best way to do is to invite the person. You don't go into his house uninvited without any warrant. Just go and pick it up. After I speak to you now, we don't even know where he is.
All right.
This is totally kidnapping.
You've said a number of things. You're even suggesting that he's been kidnapped and all of that. You just mentioned a warrant. Do you know for certain whether or not the people who went there had a warrant? Do you know?
Nothing was shown to the house, to the wife.
No, Justin, let's have a legal argument. You're a lawyer,
nothing was. Before you can arrest someone, you need to show the warrant.
Right. So they were not shown a warrant.
According to the wife, according to the woman who lives here, they just said they are picking it up and they are taking it to National Security Office. That's what they said. But they failed to produce any warrant.
All right. Let me also ask you about the claim that the door was broken down and that a woman in the house was hit with the butt of a gun. Is that what you've been told? This is an allegation as of now.
Of course, that's what I've been told by them. As I'm still in the house, that's what I've been told.
Okay. Does the house have CCTV cameras?
Definitely no, it doesn't have.
It doesn't have.
And let me give you the number of the car. They were able to pick the number of one of the pickups.
Okay.
The car registration number WE32311.
WE what?
32311.
WE32311. Okay.
Yes, and they have been able to also pick some, taking some shots of those who came here. So if you also permit, I can send you all these videos.
Yes, my producer will receive those, and we shall take it from there. But I'm curious about a few more bits.
So as it stands now, we are heading towards the National Security Office to find out whether indeed he has been brought there or not.
Okay.
So once we get there, we'll give you the information.
Okay, since you are suggesting kidnapping, so you want to be sure where he is, and then you take it from there, right?
That's it.
Okay, just a quick bit. Since all of this is premised on that video, have you seen the video in question?
Yes, I've seen it. I believe I've also seen it.
I have. Does that because the narrative is pretty different from what initially was told. We were told Justice Poamam was there. Justice Poamam was not there. We were told that the two justices there, in fact, had just celebrated their birthdays a fortnight before and a week before, and they were just there to engage. It so happened let me just tell you the story we know, and then you can tell me something else if your thinking is different. And then this lawyer, coincidentally, is there, and he sees his seniors who are on the bench. And so he goes, they shake hands, and everybody goes to their respective places to sit. This lasts less than 20 seconds. We're told that there was a conversation. They had met to converse about how to, take out the CJ and all of that. That is what we know. What do you know?
So let me ask you, was the video posted by Adenta Kumi?
Was the video what?
Are you also aware of what is in the petition?
You say was the video what?
Posted by Adenta Kumi.
I do know that he made a post about it.
Yes, so they didn't come from him. That's what I want to establish. And two, we don't even know for a fact what is captured in the petition. So then again, in order to get to the bottom of the matter, if someone has submitted a petition, it is important to interrogate the petition. If it is captured in the petition that there's a video and all those things, then the argument that you are bringing forth can also be taken into consideration. But this is a person who has filed the petition. So the best way to analyze the petition is to invite the person. But you don't go to his house forcefully to break into his house and to arrest him.
As for that one, it has nothing to do with, I'm just bringing in this because it's on the back of this that this is happening.
But you agree, we don't want to restrict ourselves to a video that has been posted on social media. But at the end of the day, we need to look at the processes. This is a person who has filed a petition. Is that how the NDC want to handle whenever a person brings a petition to the government? That the person will be intimidated, the person's house will be ransacked and picked up?
You make an important point there, but let me also ask you, so do you then agree that per what we know now about that short video, it couldn't have been what has been out there?
I'm not restricting myself to that short video. My discussion has nothing to do with any video. My discussion has to do with the fact that some men illegally went to the house of Adenta Kumi to pick it up. That's the issue we are talking about. As to that video, it's a matter for different discussions. But for this morning, what we are referring or talking about is how he has been picked up.
All right. So what next? You say you're going to the CID, National Security. Who and who are heading there now? Because I just want to have an idea.
Myself and the wife and his brother are moving towards the place. So
I didn't get. I'm sorry, I missed. You say who and the wife?
I said myself, the wife, and the brother.
Okay. All of you are heading there now.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And that, of course, is Justin Kodua Frimpong. He posted this morning, on the back of which we reached out to him to get the details. What he posted was all patriots should rush. All patriots should rush to Adenta Kumi's house. Over 20 CID and national security officers are there to pick him up. That's what the General Secretary of the MPP posted, on the back of which we've had this conversation with him. Gentlemen, Andy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so it falls in line with exactly what I was saying. We've managed to turn this thing into, once again, MPP versus what's called NDC. And this opportunity afforded us to entrench our constitutional democratic principles. It's being lost on the altar of partisan politics. We are a country governed by the rule of law. And that's our focus. All of our focus is to entrench the rule of law. Because that's the only reason under which the purpose of our constitution can be realized. Without the rule of law, we are doomed. Now, the rule of law, because the focus is to protect the liberties of the people, also has put in place both the substantive law and procedural law under which you can infringe on somebody's liberties. Understand? Sadly, because once I'm saying because we've managed to turn this thing into MPP versus NDC, all manner of crude processes are being used in this battle. I like to term it an unending, very toxic soap opera. You understand? Because if Adenta Kumi has made what's called a petition, and he was not the one who leaked the tip. You understand? Let's suppose he even leaked the tip. What kind of message, you understand, are you sending to the people of Ghana with this Rambo-style invasion of his private? It can't be justified.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, that if our focus...
Even if there were a warrant?
So we don't know...
And that's what I was trying to establish.
Even if there was... Couldn't they... Was sometimes the optics...
Couldn't he have been invited? Oh, come over, let's have a talk. We've seen this out there. You've posted about it. You've spoken about it. Come, let's have a conversation. Come and prove to us.
Yeah, but this Rambo style, we invade this person's house, we do this. It needs to stop. Because in the system we've taken upon ourselves, perception is everything. Immediately, the people lose confidence in the ability of the system to guarantee them their rights, their inalienable rights. Then the system won't work. And that's why I'm saying that, in my opinion, this whole CJ thing, for me, afforded us the opportunity to entrench the principles that underpins our constitutional democracy. Principles of accountability, principles of independence of the arms of government, and also brings into sharp focus the purpose of this constitutional democracy, which is to protect our lives, to protect our liberties, and to protect our inalienable right to pursue our own happiness. Understand? So everything that we do must be done within the context of these. But sadly, right now it's business as usual, MPP, NDC, and sadly, whether Adenta Kumi is right, whether he's wrong, we don't know.
And so for the merit of the real case in terms of the CJ is being watered down in a way because it's taken political dimensions.
Because in my view, there are very serious questions that we need to, that I think we ought to be discussing. You understand? Sadly, you have a situation which can easily be misinterpreted as an attack on an independent arm of government, whether you like it or not. Indeed, a demonstration has been held with that in mind, that, listen, there's an attack on an arm of government. Now, how do you go through this accountability process without failing in that question? You understand? So for me, and that's what I'm saying, that we need to deal with the opacity, the opaque nature of what is happening. So for instance, they are saying that it has to be held in camera. No problem. You understand? You can have a debate. But what prevents them from, let's say, when the prima facie case was, they decided to publish or inform us the reasoning that went behind that decision.
But you see, that's where the question also comes in for those who say, let's stick to the law. When you read the law, it says, shall, okay? When it comes to the initial bit about an in-camera hearing, it uses shall. And you know what the law means when it says shall. So in waiving it, a request may be put forward, but the law is, and then the other bit about the prima facie, I was addressing the first issue. The other bit about the prima facie case, again, you see those lacunas in the law there's nowhere that it says, you know, when this determination is made, it ought to be put out. So because of the secrecy of the process, it becomes complicated. Doesn't it?
But I don't even think there's a lacuna of the law. So it depends on how you understand the law. I tend to go with Aristotle's view of what the law is. Reason free from passion. Now we've taken upon ourselves a system, a system that is claiming that it wants to protect our right to life, our right to our liberties, and our right to pursue our own happiness. And if there's something history has taught us, that the only system that you can create that will guarantee you that is the rule of law. And we know that because it's a democracy, the Constitution is even saying that sovereign power resides with the people. Yeah. And everything they are doing with our powers.
For the people.
For the people. So that if you are taking an action that can undermine the confidence the people have in the system. For me, I think it is legal, it is an obligation that you tell us, you publish your opinion on, or we know how you came about the decision that, listen, a prima facie case has been made.
Established. Right.
Otherwise, you tend to lose the perception battle. The perception battle
just quickly. So you think if that had been done, maybe part of what we're now, you know, the discussions about was there indeed? Because you notice that in the latest petition that the Chief Justice now wading into it personally, using Godfred Dame's chambers, is also saying that even that whole prima facie case there was nothing in there. You know, it's part of the beliefs that
and also we have the benefit of authorities. You know, the Trinity case, which dealt with, in their view, what constitutes a prima facie case and how it ought to be determined.
Rest on that point, because I'm sure we may then also have to wade into the Council of State and the role they play all of that.
That's what I'm saying. There are so many questions, in my view, that ought to have generated some debate, even about whether there's even a need for reform in the 146. Even beyond the reform, even how they interpret their powers.
And even the threshold.
Exactly.
The threshold.
Very, very critical.
What amounts to... I mean, recently when people were talking about, the president, the vice, the speaker are all out of the country and all of that, let's impeach him. Even if the numbers were there, do you think that meets the threshold?
Exactly. And especially when you read the 146, and then when you read it together with 69 and with 97, all those with ways in which the various heads can be removed.
Yeah.
All of them says they shall be removed. They shall be removed. When it came to the 146, it said the Superior Court of Justice shall not be removed unless for the Now it tells you, because it's not for nothing that for the Superior Court Justice they said shall not be removed, because every word there is written for a purpose. It's not like so I agree with you, the threshold ought to be really high. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking that we'll take this opportunity to have real debates. But unfortunately, we are lost in the midst of this.
Let me come to
MPP,
and another thing I noticed from that shall not clause, which is interesting, the historical antecedents. You realize we were coming from PNDC, military rule into. So there were some measures being put in place to forestall future Democrats reverting to maybe military tendencies. So all of that, it just struck me that all of that was in there to forestall that. But there's also this issue. I know you want to have a bite. You know, per the law, national security based on security interest can also conduct arrests, not necessarily with a warrant, sometimes. Sometimes the exigencies point to that. So let's also make that clear. It's not every time that a warrant will be used. There are instances where, justifiably, but then they would have to justify the use of that without a warrant. Any reflections?
Exactly. As my brother said, the optics are not good. And nowadays you hear that it's become the mantra. The optics are not good. The optics are not good. I tend to think that Adenta Kumi could have been invited. This Rambo-style invasion was totally unnecessary.
Needless, huh?
Needless. I suspect that maybe it was to, sometimes when you conduct this raid, it's not necessarily about picking the person per se, but finding some evidence to get to the bottom of something. And probably, I'm just theoretically, maybe to find out where he got the CCTV footage from. That is if he's the one who released it. But there are many other ways to find this out. You can even find out from the restaurant itself how it came about. But I suppose that is not the main crux of the issue.
But it's also clear that someone from that restaurant would have had to give out that video evidence, right?
Exactly.
Which our security officers can also secure, interrogate, and also find out what the intent.
Exactly, and the video is already out there.
It is.
And it's watering everything down. My brother mentioned the Ajay case, the Frank Ajay versus Attorney General versus Bright Akwete. This is a case that we in the CPP have always been interested in because it was brought by a member of the current CPP leadership. Lawyer Bright Akwete is a member of the current CPP leadership. And he brought this, this case involved him, and it set out the parameters when it comes to, aspects of what we are facing now. And indeed, it waters everything down because some of the justices at the Supreme Court, we've all seen the video. I would say that I don't see anything suspicious about the video. Even beyond that, the judiciary is such that we always bump into judges.
And pardon my doing this. We'll get into the merits of the video. Let me take Prof. Wedi. I'll come back to the video and its merits. Prof, in reacting to this, and I've noticed a bit of a trend. I may have forgotten some of them, but this style of getting people to, because you realize that Justin Kodia Frimpong was talking about intimidation, which we don't want in the system. Like we have all said here, the gentleman could have been invited. Let's not also forget that when these kinds of things happen, it's a household.
Yeah.
Women, children, and the sort of maybe shock effect and fear that sometimes is provoked. Now, we've been told that purportedly, one woman was hit with the butt of a gun. We don't know. We don't have those details yet. But what picture does that paint for you? Because we had, if you recall, Ken Ofori-Atta and the incident, though I believe with a warrant. Then Dr. Ernest Addison, the former central bank governor, his incident. I've forgotten whether there's been another one. I think my mind is telling me there's another one somewhere, but I'll look. And at least we have this one as well. What picture does it paint for you, Prof?
I think our democracy is growing by and large, and it should reflect in terms of whatever we do. I can foresee that the CJ case will travel for a long time. It will not end today. By the time it comes to an end, a lot of issues would have been unraveled. It would be shocking to see some of them. And it's part of what we are seeing today. Today, the secretary of MPP, a few minutes ago, tells you he had told the party faithful to rush to the house just to find a way to rescue him. What would have happened if they had met those security operatives?
That is something else that I have concerns with sometimes.
You
see this whole bit about, I remember during the elections, Malik Basintali would put some codes out there and, this and that, do this, do that. He came and explained himself here. But I think that action as well, from time to time, party, it can often lead to, some circumstances we don't want. Because mind you, these security services are clothed with certain powers. And when faced with certain actions, they may retaliate. And not retaliate, they may act, and it may not be proportionate. That's the problem.
But it's the first I've been hearing from you. We keep learning every day that the security operatives could sometimes arrest someone without a warrant. If I'm wrong, you ask me.
Well, even the police can arrest without.
Yeah,
I think section 10 of the criminal procedure.
We keep learning every day. It's my first time even hearing that. But the frequency of such issues are the ones we are talking about here. How often can you use those powers? Are we trying to shy away from the word invitation? We have heard this about you. We want to see you. Can you come to our office within this time, around this period, in the evening or in the morning? If you fail on 2 counts or 3, then we'll be forced or be compelled to come after you.
Right.
Then your case is solid.
Right.
But when we get up in the morning because we have powers, we want to do this, Now the substantive issue, we've thrown it to the back. We don't want to come to that issue. It's all about arrest this morning, and that's going to take something out of the case that we are going to pursue at the CJ level.
So, let me bring in this comment by Emmanuel Boama because it leads to another end of the conversation. He says, Joy News, fundamentally, you are good at verifying information. Is it right to start condemning, and I'll address that word, the government or the security personnel by your guests in the studio just on the back of an account given by the MPP General Secretary? Ben is one of the objective journalists, and so I expected him to handle this better. Here's why. Think about it this way. And all of us can misstep at some point. If I did something and I had to have some interrogations or interact with the security officers, I would appreciate it if I were called, oh, come to X police station or come to national security or come to wherever and let's have a chat, rather than come to my home and have any actions done. Do you understand? That is the context, rule of law, not necessarily anybody condemning them. No one here has condemned, because if you watched, I kept referring to allegation, because as we sit here, even Justin Kodua Frimpong cannot say for a fact. He was told. He has told us. However, we are saying that if that be the case, then there's a certain trend and there's another way of doing this, apart from just the forceful, we've come to your house. You could also invite the person. The person has not been invited and absconded. That is all we are saying. Anyway, now on the bit about the merits of the video.
Yeah.
I have seen the video. I don't want to espouse, I want to espouse my thoughts last. You have seen the video as well. Yes. The claim was that these people had met there to sort of plot, connive, so that when the committee sits on the CJ's matter, some actions will be taken. The information we have shared before you come in is that, first off, Justice Puamang was nowhere there, though the claim was made that he was there. He is not. Secondly, these justices had celebrated their birthdays about a week apart. So 2 weeks before, something like that, and a week after that. And they had just decided, oh, since our birthdays are close, let's go there and have something to eat. And they bump into this lawyer who coincidentally is also there for, in fact, if you look at the sitting arrangement, Obitini Baby, and then these people also came into the fray. Now, among lawyers, you know, when you meet your seniors, especially someone on the bench, you'd probably want to, oh, hello. And that is what, per what I saw, happened there. But what did you see? And is there any merits to the conversation that has been had versus the video evidence so far? Because Justin says he is not necessarily subscribing to the video. My question then is there any other video? Your take.
It's a very, I'll say that there's a thin line in this case. There's a very thin line. If you look at the video and, you know, the general, sometimes until you become a legal practitioner, you will not understand clearly the workings of judges, lawyers, and clients. You may think just talking to somebody in a case or the lawyer means something untoward is happening. There's nothing like that. If I could bring, 10 years ago, we had Ghana in the Eyes of God, September 2015. Yeah. I was in that video where I was stating that I still have, I have confidence in the judiciary. Yeah. And sometimes the perceptions we have about the judiciary, it's not always the main judicial actors. It's not the judges or the lawyers. Sometimes you can have other people trying to influence the case. These judges are people of high repute. Both Justice Kulendi, Justice Asiedu, and even lawyer Thaddeus Sory himself. These are people who have practiced for many, many years. You know, and as legal practitioners, some of the judges are our former lecturers. Yeah. Some of them, we practiced with them as lawyers before they went to the bench. Yeah. These are not people who meet in a restaurant to discuss something as weighty as the removal of the chief Justice Justice Tokono. But at the same time, she is also entitled to bring this case that she has brought. If you look at the same Ajechum case, Justice Ajinira's closing statements was that it is obvious that the drafters of the Constitution made an inadvertent omission. And she also goes ahead to say that this court has in the past gone beyond the literal text of the Constitution in recognizing and securing particular rights of the individual. You understand me? So the Constitution itself is not interpreted literally.
Yeah.
So if Her Ladyship Justice Tokonu wants a public hearing, I don't see why that should not be. Because there have been many instances, this same Ajechum versus Akwete case shows that there have been many instances. So
it is good for the optics,
yes.
But I've heard from the other side, they also say it's not compulsory. And the law states what it does. You see, that's where the problem, that's where the devil is.
Yeah.
But I think maybe for the optics, we could have gone down that road.
It's good because now these innocent Supreme Court justices and Justice Thaddeus Sory himself, people are having a certain perception about them, that knowing them personally through my work as a legal practitioner, I don't think there's anything anywhere. But in order to disabuse the minds of Ghanaians and in order to afford Her Ladyship her rights, I think the public hearing should be conducted.
So on this matter, there's a tangential matter I want to bring in, and that has to do with the petition to the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Abuadame. Have you seen
I had
some scope of that? So basically, it has to do with, and I bring it in because this whole bit about interacting with justices sitting on a case. In this instance, well, this is what may be a coincidental meetup. But in this instance, as per this petition, it references the Kasielato Forsen case.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, the purported interactions with Richard Jakpa and Godfrey Abuadame, and then, of course, that justice. I believe it was Yoni Kulendi, if you remember that bit. So on the back of that, there is that petition for the General Legal Counsel to look into Godfrey Abuadame's practices legally, whether they were kosher, whether they were right. And don't you forget, Dame is now representing the CJ in that interlocutory injunction. Interesting times, eh? Interesting. This one, I'll just take brief thoughts and then we get into the things.
Well, if I may have a bite of that cherry. They're interesting, you know, we recognize that we're in the domain of plea bargaining. And I'm very happy that the current Attorney General, Honorable
Dominic
Aine, our former lecturer from the law faculty, is also taking...
You're putting it out, so in case there's a case somewhere and they see you, people will not say that,
Exactly. In fact, there's actually a video on TikTok of Semsai and myself happily shaking hands. But,
I think I saw. I didn't see the video, but I've seen the photo of it.
Because you see, when we were in Legon, you know, those days when you were, so you were Supreme Court judge.
Yeah, Commonwealth, it's true.
So Legon had its own legal system.
Commonwealth was a judge.
Yeah, at that time, Semsai was in Legon Hall's consultative assembly, and then we were in law school. But I've had a very good relationship with him. So because, let's say, we are lawyers on the other side, doesn't mean that when I see him, I should some of this. Or I see both you, and then right from Chota School through to law school, and I see because we are on opposite sides. So we need to place some of these things in proper context.
Regarding the GLC, it's whoever brought the petition, it's their rights. I mean, lawyers are summoned to GLC all the time.
Yeah.
And but I believe in the era of plea bargain, he's allowed to have those conversations with the accused. Maybe the setting may not have been
but the circumstances of it, if you've seen some of the interactions where it basically suggested, okay, and that is the claim that was made, help us nail this person. And then, yes, I understand that in context that could be done, but the how of it and the thinking, the rationale is where...
And exactly in the
in law, even in criminality,
the US,
you think of the ratio.
They tell you, let us know your...
The mens rea, I mean.
But I think the issue with the Japan issue was, Kofedami spoke with him without the consent of Jakwe's counsel,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
unethical.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
speak with
without his or her counsel.
Without consent. I think that's the ethical issue
Right.
there. So I think so. I don't know, but trust me, Kofedami has been taken to jail not because of it, but the politics. You see, they are just playing politics.
And that
no, they're just playing politics with. Yes, seriously, they're just playing politics. Because I've even heard people.
Yesterday, the question was posed to the petitioner that, okay, so why now?
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he actually made the point that he had been following this for quite a while, in fact, from last year, but also the processes to secure some of the documentation, even from the courts and all of that. And so I found it all very interesting.
Let's say it as it is. It's politics. You understand? Kofedami is no longer Attorney General. He is still a lawyer. You understand? What stops him? I know the optics is away, but what stops him from representing or the CJ from choosing Kofedami?
Yeah.
We shouldn't see them. You see, sometimes we run away from the main issue and we waste a lot of time on, in my opinion, very trivial matter. Kofedami is still a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? The Chief Justice feels
and it's on the back of that he's been not because he was AG or anything. It's on the back of is this ethical practice?
Exactly. No, but if indeed people have raised issues about why it should be Kofedami representing the CJ.
Yes, that has also come.
So if I have a case,
and he has responded that it's
he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Who
has every right to represent.
If I have a case, I feel that I want you to represent me. I mean, let's say, should he be? For me, I don't see the head and tail of. See, let's focus on the main issues.
Okay.
Don't waste time
Thank
on
you.
the trivial ones.
Prof, any quick thoughts? When we start on the legal angles, we'll go and go.
You learn from the best. They are lawyers, and I've been learning from them. But the point is that I don't know. We are torn in between triviality and ethical issues here. I have nothing more to say than to say that, look, this country, we have to be serious. We have to be serious. We focus and pay attention to issues that, for me, whether he represents CJ or a video has leaked and all that, what is the crux of the issue? Yeah. What's the issue are we talking about here? The remover? Let's start the process. Let's continue with it. Because for me, the issues are becoming too complex for me to consume.
I will just say this as my final shot on this matter. If you look at even the U.S., Supreme Court, they are 9?
Yeah.
And how they operate, even with Trump coming in and bringing in some conservatives. If you watch carefully, you would realize that even some of the decisions that Trump would have wanted, he did not get.
Yeah.
Yes, you can look at that odd Roe versus Wade, turnover and everything else. But they found a way of, first, limiting the numbers. Of course, you need an odd number, and making it work for them. They also have a federal system, so sometimes the federal courts can deal with. But I think we are where we are, and I say this very cautiously, because to a certain extent, I will not say small or large, we have politicized the judiciary and weaponized it. And now it's giving birth to the problem we've created.
Yes.
And I will say this, some administrations have done it more than others. And because it has been seen that some have pushed it to the extreme, others also feel, listen, if we don't bring it to a certain end, there will be no balance and we'll be lost in that wilderness. That is why we are here. So if we want to stop pretending, the truth is, let's stop politicizing the judiciary.
Ben, you shouldn't apologize for such statements, because this is Ben exercising his power as a member of the Fourth Estate. Yeah, you understand? No, Ben, so you don't need to apologize, because you've hit the nail right on the head. See, the basic difference in my view between, let's say, the Americans largely and us is, whereas they are largely driven by a national interest. You understand? And here, for me, it's not about whether you are right or wrong, but what fuels their passion is what's in the best interest of America. in our case, what fuels us is our parochial interest. And we are so callous that we don't mind weaponizing the Constitution. We don't mind weaponizing the institutions the Constitution has created to pursue a parochial agenda. You are spot on. Because John Mahama has come into power believing that Nana Addo weaponized the judiciary. He felt you understand, and they feel that they must do something about it. And what you do is you kill the fidelity of the people or the belief of the people in the system. And once that is gone, then we do not have a system. So am I allowed to align myself with your statement? Except that I want to apologize. I want to apologize for this alignment. But I think you are spot on, and I'll call on the Fourth Estate to be coming out more with some of these statements and analysis.
It's on point.
Yeah, because we can't allow our politicians to be messing up the entire system for all of us, especially when you consider what is at stake.
Yeah.
What is at stake is the rule of law. Exactly. And once that is undermined, we are finished.
And even to add, one of the minority MPs has petitioned the ILO to look into the dismissal of people from the state institutions. Yeah. And he's asked for ILO's help to put a stop to the political change of. But the thing is that anytime a new party comes into power, it happens. So what the minority MP has done, it's in the right direction. We politicize everything. We come into power, we change everybody. So the politicians themselves are now desperate to change what they themselves have created.
Yeah. Right. But for me, I think after today, I'll stop talking about this CGA matters and all that, because I don't know how long this issue surrounding the Achua case will be stopped. But we keep talking about a lot of issues surrounding the case. When can we go into the substance?
And you see, once we spend time, Prof, like you're saying, once we spend time, look, we have Galamsey still to deal with.
We have a lot of issues.
We have at least even this streetism we've spoken about this morning, still to deal with. We have poverty,
levy,
developmental issues, NDPC, and discoordinated. The president was speaking about it recently. Let's have it such that it's not about which party, it's about how we have so many problems. But sometimes objectivity on these ones are lost, and we end up wasting precious time
and
talking about
resources.
But you see, when it's not broken, we don't fix. Why would she want to be removed?
Why would the woman CJ should be removed?
Why should she be removed?
I mean,
we were having.
As for that one, where you are totally different. The territory you are getting into. The lawyers and yours truly will respectfully recuse ourselves.
No, it's a question. You may not have the answer. One is not broken. We
don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
Anyway, let's quickly get into the papers, and definitely, I also want us to talk about this matter, the Veep being back. I remember back then, So Daily Graphic, it leads with that story. Veep is back. There's also oil money to push, big push. Petroleum revenue law amended to channel 70% proceeds to infrastructure. Experts applaud move. Ghanaian nurse eyes $250,000 global award. You know her, and we hope she makes us proud. Interior Ministry beefs up security in conflict-prone areas. On the back page, Minister inaugurates 532 kilowatt solar plant at Nexans Cable Metal. And DTI inaugurates Innovation and Precision Center at ATU. The DTI has been doing quite a bit. I know their place in East Legon. I used to spend some time in that area, and quite a number of things they are doing. So I'll blaze through very quickly so that we can get to your papers and move. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapua, has revealed plans to increase the use of clean energy solutions, including solar power, to achieve a more sustainable energy future. At the inauguration of a solar plant project by Nexans Cable Metal Ghana Limited in Tema, Mr. Jinapua said, in line with the President's vision towards attaining a 24-hour economy, the ministry had begun rolling out solar streetlight installations across Ghana, particularly in the capital, to reduce peak demand and promote energy efficiency. That's the story. On oil money to push, big push. The recent amendment of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, that is Act 815, to ensure that the entire annual budget funding amount, that is APFA, is dedicated solely to infrastructural development, has received the endorsement of stakeholders in the petroleum sector. Let me just end it there, because they approve of it. They say that will be a good way of pushing the big push. Then page 20, the Mami Odende story. So the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has returned to the country after seeking medical attention from the United Kingdom. I think we know the details now, who was there, who met her, and all of that. Let me see whether there will be anything else to add. South Africa budget can't cover for deep cuts in foreign aid. And I'm sure you followed Ramaphosa versus Trump as well. I'll end with this. You may not have heard of it, and if you have, you know what it is. Fistula, a call to action for eradication. It's another major health concern for our young girls and women. Any quick thoughts? Kwame Nkrumah, these must be very brief so that we can get
I'll go straight to the solar energy story. I think it's a good thing to have it an Nexans cable metal, because we underestimate the impact of energy on our society, and green energy is a way to go. I remember somewhere in 2004, there was a Supreme Court judgment regarding VALCO workers, where a few years prior, because of electricity cuts, they had to lay off a large number of workers, and it caused a lot of problems. So the absence of energy, it has a ripple effect. It can even have people laid off. So when we have sustainable green energy like solar energy, it helps all of us, and I think it's a good call, and they should keep it up. And finally, also, I'm happy to see the VIP back, and I saw a very touching picture. At least we can say with that one, the optics are good about she and the First Lady in that warm embrace. We're happy to have her back, and I know that now there will be a lot of pressure of the President, and things will start moving, and we can concentrate on a lot of other things.
Yeah, so the VIP, I'm glad she's back, except that I would have wished that she came back from Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
And not some foreign traveler.
Not some, and I think, for me, it heightens the burden on government to deal with our health infrastructure in this country. As I can't countenance why, after almost 60 years of self-rule, that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
So I can speak for myself. I don't know for the rest of you. I think it may be the same story. But if any of us were to have some of those, critical health issues, I think our best stop would be UGMC or Kolebu. I don't know whether I'd be able to be flown out. Would you?
No, I don't think
Would
so.
you?
No.
Would you, Prof? Maybe Prof might. You might be in a comfortable. So the reality of the situation is, how do you make it so that, because sitting here, I'm sure people will think, oh, at least middle class, but we crash,
also, it undermines our health, as the confidence we will have in the health, because the VIP is telling us that, or people in authority, they're telling, listen, that I was sick, I needed top-notch medical care. I have to find it outside.
Yeah.
So if the people who are supposed to manage our affairs don't trust in the ability of the health system here to sort them out, then what are they telling us?
But we do know it started from UGMC.
No, but
and then eventually it had to be taken out.
If UGMC were successful, or if she believed that they could sort it out. Let's say things as they are.
Before we go,
the point is that you Prof.
The point is that
the point is that they are there to take care of us. They are there to use their power for us.
For our benefit.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if they don't trust in the health system, then they might use the power we've given them to bring the health system to a level where, when we are going to how you mentioned, that's bougie. If I'm going to my polyclinic, I have all confidence that I'll get the best of Medicare there.
Right. Prof, it has to be brief so that
I think we're happy she's back. And I like the headlines you gave. The heading. Mami, what?
Ding.
Oh, I characterize it as the Mami.
I hope they didn't allow her to run on the tarmac.
This is assembly.
When I saw the video, I was
I've seen before the elections in Nigeria, Tinubu, doing something, I think on a treadmill, and I was like, hey, and then there was that,
Because when I saw the background pictures, and I was just praying to God that they won't allow her to run on the tarmac. Right. did to our former president. But that's good. It's a good news. She's back.
Slow poison.
We are happy she's back. But on the issue on the energy, these are stories we want to hear.
Right.
The last time the minister...
Nexans cable metal,
yes,
green energy,
the former
clean
minister,
energy.
the minister of energy was complaining about the fact that we're going to be shut down, I think, for 2 days or so.
We have 2 more.
How many days now?
They sorted it.
They've sorted it out.
Yeah, they sorted it.
So sometimes not give us gloomy pictures like that. It doesn't help. Because we live, investors are all over the place. Productions are also ongoing. So when you have story, tell us the good story. Like today, you see how economic activities will pick up. When we have solution to our energy crisis, clean energy, street lights, the idea is to prepare the ground for 24-hour economic policy, to roll out. You cannot run an economy, 24-hour economy, with 12 hours power. It can't work. So if you're putting things in place to usher the woman in the room, the 24-hour, the game changer, then we are happy to have some of these stories because it's about economic activities.
All right. Yeah. Andy, can you quickly blaze through this paper? Just give us headlines. I'll take headlines from, unless there's maximum one story you want to talk about. Same for you, Prof.
So VCTF pushes for domestic funding to drive SME.
That's the Business and Financial Times.
Thanks, yeah. Leverage declining inflation to fast-track targeted interventions. GSE set for first IPO since 2018. I think I want to read briefly the VCTF pushes for domestic funding. So the Venture Capital Trust Fund is ramping up efforts to secure more domestic capital as it seeks to expand its impact on small and medium-scale enterprises, citing a proven investment model and strong portfolio performance. At a media engagement marking its 20th anniversary, VCTF executives highlighted the fund's achievements, investments in 77 companies, 14 profitable exits, and over 28,000 jobs created, as evidence that venture capital can work in Ghana's economic landscape if properly structured and funded.
Okay. Well, I guess it's straight to the point.
Yeah.
Prof? Headlines and then maybe one story, Max.
Leadership crisis rocks Christian Divine Church. Then on the page 6 of the Ghanaian publisher, Gold Board extends compliance deadline. And then on the page 3, minority charge on government over delay statutory payment. And then we have one story here on the page 2. Alfred Mohammed refutes claims, denies engaging in galamsey activity. The last one is on page 3. CJ removal probe must be public. Godfrey Dodame. To pick up two stories here. One will be the Gold Board extends compliance deadline. Yes, sometimes we are allowed to do that, but a frequent deadline extension creates a culture of non-compliance. If we keep extending deadlines over a period without giving tangible reasons why, people will take opportunity and then they will not comply with your policies and your laws. Minority charge on government over delays. In fact, I'm interested in knowing the statutory payments that have not been made. In fact, from next week, the group, the IRPP, will conduct a full search into how many payments have been made over a period of time. Those have not been paid. If you delay payments, what happens is that you stifle economic growth.
Right.
You exacerbate poverty over a period of time. And then you breach the public trust. So if some payments have not been made, we want to encourage this administration to make those payments.
Okay.
And then we'll see. Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been an exciting session with you. I always love it when I have you together, the lawyer and the academic, so that we can fuse the issues together. Some story that I was not able to do, but I think it's worth putting out there. You can also find the story on myjoyonline.com. Azuma Nelson to be honored as WBC celebrates the Year of Africa in Accra. And of course, possibly, in fact, in many contexts, viewed as the greatest boxing export from Africa. Zoom Zoom Nelson, the professor himself. And I'd like to add my voice to celebrate him as well. Let's do some birthdays. Happy birthday to the acting CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche. It goes on and on about your leadership since assuming office has been nothing short of inspiring. We, the staff of the EPA are proud and grateful to have you as our leader. On this special day, we pray for continued strength, wisdom, and grace. Warmest wishes. I had to truncate the message. From Moses Akati and the entire EPA staff. Carlos Caloni, thank you for shooting that to me. This one is from Brother Collins, Church of Pentecost, Nazareth Assembly, Sunyani. Church of Pentecost, Nazareth Assembly, Sunyani. He says, happy birthday to Liwabi Makanga, popularly known as Amagifti, staff of Papaye Cold Store, Sunyane Masum Market. May you grow from grace to greater grace. And so Liwabi Makanga, aka Amagifti, happy birthday to you from Brother Collins. And then a blessed 70th birthday to Mrs. Stella Na Lamioko Tete of the Grace Methodist Church in Latebiokoshi. We celebrate you for your humble and God-fearing nature. May God continue to keep you strong and faithful in the kingdom's work. From your husband, Festus, and your children, Thelma, Sandra, and Sidel, as well as the entire family. So, Mrs. Stella Na Lamioko Tete, happy birthday to you. And to Nelly Ajima Jemfi, obey steady, or maybe I won't obey steady. I see a message she just sent me.
But before you sign up, yesterday was my wife's birthday. So
Yes.
So I just want to thank her for 7.5 years of bliss. You
have to start paying tax for these services. If it's not Meridian number 1, it's Meridian number 2 and your wife.
No, but my wife is number 1. So
number 1,
I can't, yes. Yesterday
please, we celebrate her. What's her name?
Afrakuma.
Afrakuma. Yes. Afrakuma, we celebrate you. Belated happy birthday. Were you going to say something? We have to go. All right. Thank you so much. So those who joined the conversation, Professor Isaac Bwedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA. We had Andrew Zapia Dankwa.
A.K.A.
Abigi. Abigi. And I'm just also say Apeke. Abigi. Okay. He is a spokesperson for the Movement for Change. And then we had Honorable Kobash. Kwame Nkrumah, General Secretary for the CPP. Let me just let you know the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Now, get ready for the 7th Ghana Football Awards. Join us on June the 14th at the Palms Convention Center for a night of excitement, glamour, and celebration of Ghana's finest football stars. Let's unite the nation once again through football. Ghana Football Awards is a Football Impact Africa initiative powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group and AE Mediacom Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion. You can call 0302 211 691 for more information. Later, don't you forget, today is a Friday, we'll serve you E-Corner, and I will also serve you my blunt thoughts. I'm just giving you the title for later, right? The CD Conundrum, the Electricity Enigma, and the Cocoa Shocker, analyzing the chorus use. The CD Conundrum, I'll give you details if you've not seen. The Electricity Enigma, and the Cocoa Shocker. It will shock you what I'm going to tell you about cocoa, because between this year, the start of the year, and last year, so many interesting things have happened. You want to stay. We'll be back with more action. Welcome back. We get into our big stories, but don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Now we get into our first big story because of that video purporting to have 2 justices removed from the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice, now under public scrutiny. They were seen, captured in that video after Joy News obtained the CCTV footage of the alleged meeting of the judges. But what's in the video? Can the details sway anything? And we'll get into the details of that. Joining the conversation, Nana J. Bafuewa. He's Member of Parliament for Menchia South. He's a lawyer. We have James Kwabena Bomfe. He is CEO, Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems, joining the conversation. I believe they have put in a petition at some point on this matter as well. Let's look at Nana Bafwewa. Good morning to you, sir. You would have to unmute, and let me also seize the opportunity of saying that I'm doing this together with Sweetie Abochi right here. We'll be handling the conversation together. Nana Bafwewa, can you hear me, sir? If you can hear me, please unmute. All right. Let me try James. James, good morning.
Good morning. Am I speaking to Evans?
You're speaking to Benjamin Akakpo. People often confuse our voices. My name is Benjamin.
Okay. Ben, how are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
By God's grace.
All right. So let's start with, there's that issue that came up this morning in respect of Adenta Kumi, who has purportedly, allegedly been picked up by some national security operatives. Do you have any quick thoughts on that before we get into the substantive matter?
What has he been picked for?
Well, Justin Frimpong Kodia, who is General Secretary of the MPP, made a post. We spoke to him this morning. He purports that he has been picked up on the back of, that video that we're about to talk about, which purports that some justices met a certain lawyer in respect of the CJ case. That is the background to it.
Oh, okay. So, I thought you were going to talk to me about our suit. And the injunction application, which was dismissed on Wednesday.
I am actually, but I just wanted to pick your brain.
Sure.
If you've not...
But what I would say about this is that since the repeal of the criminal libel law, I believe that we have come far as a country in our respect for individual views and dissent, no matter how nauseating they may be.
Right.
And that even if somebody crosses the red line, there are several avenues available for corrections.
Right.
And that it is not for the security agencies to be meddling in some of these things.
Okay.
So it will be quite unfortunate to hear that if somebody made an allegation or made a claim, even if they fail to substantiate it, the first point of call would be the security agencies picking the person up and in the manner that you have just described to me.
All right, thank you.
That said, as far as I'm concerned, we need to be very careful as a country. The emphasis that we put on audio recordings and video recordings in this age and time.
Right.
A few months back, you recall there was a tape or a voice that made a wild allegation that people went to town with in respect of the Attorney General then. At the time, some of us took a position. At the end of the day, if there is any act or statement made that frowns or that the law frowns on, let's use the process of the law to address it.
Okay.
Than to jump to town and deal with it that way. And I would maintain that same position.
All right.
Those who held the view that somebody should be crucified on that, and today are taking a different position, just as those who took that position and are taking a different position today, are the ones we should be asking what the difference is.
Let me just say this.
I think we have to be minded and careful with how we handle one another.
So let's have a conversation. When I'm trying to interject, let's have a fluid conversation. Just a quick one. I'll go to Nana J. Bafwewa before I come to Inusa Hussaini. Let me acknowledge former MP for Tamale Central, Inusa Hussaini, who's a lawyer. Mr. Hussaini, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. Please hold for me. Hold for me. James, let me just ask you something, though, before I go to Nana Bafwewa. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I've seen the picture.
James, have you seen the video?
In fact, I have seen, I've not watched it, but I've seen news items mentioning
it would be instructive to see the video. It's about 20 seconds or less. It would be instructive to see it. And it's on social media. You can find it on My Joy Online. We have a story there. Nana Bafwewa, just kickstarting matters with you. This morning, supposedly, allegedly, Adenta Kumi has been picked up. And of course, within the law, there are processes. And sometimes you can also arrest without, or pick up without a warrant. But what do you make of it? What do you make of it? It appears we've lost Bafwewa. Let me go to Inusa Husseini quickly. I just want to pick your initial thoughts, and then Sweetie will take you on the substantive matter of the video and others. Bafwewa, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, my brother. How are you doing?
I am well. I hope you are too.
By God's grace.
We thank God. Thank you for staying. Thank you for reconnecting with us. I was just asking you on the issue of Adenta Kumi purportedly being picked up this morning. What do you make of it?
The frantic call from his wife this morning, that some men were forcing open their gates. And so he wanted me to intervene as a lawyer. Before that, yesterday in the evening, I was on my way to board a flight to Kumasi when I received a call from him that somebody had called to alert him that men in the national security establishment meant to pick. I dismissed that, because I didn't think that, anyone would go to this extent, especially because vision he has presented. The persons named in it, I know them very well. They are men of dignity. They are men of honor.
Oh, we're struggling with a connection this morning to... Go ahead. Go ahead.
Respectable men. They wouldn't want anything to...
I think because of where you are and also because you may be on the move, from what I see, maybe we'll try to reach you on phone. Maybe. Because it appears that the connectivity is problematic. Let me bring in Inusa Husseini so that later when Nana Bafwewa is able to speak without hitches, we'll get to him. Inusa Husseini, have you got wind of this purported arrest? And what do you make of it?
So you are just telling me, I'm just hearing it for the first time. I've not had any information, official information that...
So let me quickly walk you through it. Let me quickly walk you through what has happened. So we saw a post this morning, Justin Kodria Frimpong, General Secretary of the MPP. He posted all patriots should rush to Adenta Kumi's house. Over 20 CID and national security officers are there to pick him up. Again, not all of this substantiated. We don't have proof of that. But then we spoke to him, and per his story, they had come into Adenta Kumi's residence and broken a door down. I'm reflecting what Justin Kodria Frimpong said, and that supposedly someone within the household, a certain woman, had been hit with the butt of a gun, and that Adenta Kumi himself, who, by the way, was with the MPP, joined the Movement for Change, is back with the MPP, has been picked up. That is the situation on the ground. And it's on the back of the video that we'll be talking about. And some people say this whole bit about arresting people like that, maybe people should be invited. What we don't know is whether he had been invited by the security forces or the security setup. Do you have any brief thoughts?
Well, I'm not surprised because the allegations he made against the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature and the a lawyer who is representing one of the petitioners was quite witty. I mean, clearly drew some serious concerns from the general public. Except those who are in the legal profession who thought that the likelihood of the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature and a lawyer representing one of the clients meeting at a restaurant, which is a public place, is highly unlikely. Many people would have walked away thinking that that is possible, and that goes to fit into the conspiracy, raise fear and panic, and so I'm not surprised that the national security is interested in getting further and better particulars from Adenta Kumi, and they've chosen to go and arrest him.
Are you suggesting this feeds into misinformation and disinformation? And are you saying they couldn't have, I don't know, again, whether he had simply been invited to show up and didn't. But are you saying it doesn't feed into that conversation as well? That, I mean, why not invite these people rather than go to their homes? Is that not an alternative? And what's the angle to misinformation and disinformation here?
So many years ago, I sat on TV, and that was after the 2020 elections, and made comments. Policemen came to my house to arrest me. They didn't meet me. They invited me. I was advised not to honor the invitation. They sent me to court and arrested me in court. And I don't know what they are talking about.
Okay, all right, sweetie.
Mr. Hussaini, so the petition is asking that the president dissolves the committee probing the removal of the Chief Justice. And according to him, quote, the meeting between Justices Poaman Kulendi and Asedu with Thaddeus Sory clearly tainted integrity of the process and reduces public confidence in the processes, unquote. What we see in the video making rounds and what the petitioner is saying, where do we tally? Where's the intersection between what he's saying and what we are seeing in the video?
The whole basis of the petition is an alleged meeting. The whole basis of the petition of Adenta Kumi is the alleged meeting between the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, and particularly those who are members of the presidential the judicial committee, if you want, for lack of better word, that has been established under Article 1466 to look into the petition. Now, if indeed and in fact the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature sitting on the committee did meet with counsel for the petitioner, one of the petitioners, it goes to fund an allegation of collaboration and conspiracy to do the Chief Justice in and mark the whole process in the sense that you can accuse those people of bad faith. And if those people are acting in bad faith, then they are not fit to be on the committee. That is the basis, that's the fulcrum on which the petition stands. If there is no such existent fact, the petition cannot stand on its own. An empty sack cannot stand straight. So that is it. That's it. So if the reason why Adenta Kumi has petitioned the president to dissolve the committee is on the allegation that he saw these people meet and they were talking about matters touching and concerning the petitions that have been filed against the Chief Justice for her removal, clearly, it bears repeating myself, clearly that would be collusion.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me go to Naneje Bafwewa for a quick response, then I'll circle back to you. So Naneje Bafwewa, Mr. Hussaini is saying that there's no basis for this petition, and the video does not actually give, does not justify the claim that these justices were discussing matters related to the petition. And your response is? Naneje Bafwewa, this is to you, please. I understand he's dropped the line. We're trying to get him. Let me go to Mr. Bonfe now. He is a CEO, Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. Mr. Bonfe, so, help us understand what sense you make out of the arguments pouring in so far. The video we've seen circulating, just about 20 or 30 seconds, and that's the reason why this man is petitioning the president to dissolve the entire committee. What sense do you make of it?
Well, I have not seen the video. As I said, I have seen news items conveying that no matter how short it is, I haven't looked at it to give my own view of what I think about it. But the subject matter is one of serious importance that you cannot wish away such a serious claim. If indeed there was such a meeting or there was such an incident, at the end of the day, when you meet people in person at a public place, and it is just meeting in person, I don't think it will be fit for commentary. However, If it was such that you can read into it and say they stood for a while, spoke, and had exchanges, then of course you cannot wish it away, you cannot throw it away. Don't forget that the issue that this matter relates to is involving the head of the judiciary. And at the heart of it is whether or not we want the judiciary to continue to maintain their independence and be the only voice that can pronounce on judicial issues in this country as granted them by Article 125. And that their independence be, maintained. That is at the heart of this matter. So if there is any fear or hunch or suspicion of an incident that has a tendency to mar the process, then we cannot wish it away. However, if it was just a casual meeting at a public place that we can walk into each other, this is a country, we don't limit movement, definitely on the face of it will have no value. That's my initial comment on that. And I don't think that anybody has a right to treat somebody who is raising an alarm as a criminal. That everybody in Ghana must condemn.
And by this, you're referring
if
to...
I have suspicion about something, and I feel that there is an untoward conduct, and I raise alarm on it, how does that criminalize me? We repealed the criminal libel law long ago. Courtesy President Kufuor, His Excellency.
Okay,
but
so James,
really express ourselves, of course, with responsibility. That is why today, you, the media, you are not free from civil libel suits. And if I offend anybody, my brother and senior Idris Opuseni on the other line can bear to this. If there is an issue, if I go contrary to any of the principles laid in public engagement right now, and I go as his person, he can take me on in a civil suit. But to attempt to criminalize speech, for me, he said no. And I heard him say that something similar happened to him. They picked him up from a court or whatever. It is condemnable. It wasn't right, and it cannot be right today.
James, I just have a quick intervention here. Since you mentioned the criminal libel law, which makes for interesting, analysis, we've invited Ken Oforiatta, he was not in the jurisdiction, Dr. Ernest Addison and others. Would you say that by merely, getting to speak to them, that was criminalizing what had happened? And I also want your take on, again, this video, because you mentioned, if it is that short and it's an interaction that anybody could have in any public place, like we've mentioned, it's no more than 20, 30 seconds. Would you say, on the grounds of misinformation or disinformation, what should we be looking at in terms of caution about putting some of these things out?
You see, my initial comment was that we should be very careful in this age and era about the premium we place on audios and videos. I think I made that point. As somebody with a background in IT and computer science, artificial intelligence can do so many things. So we should be very careful how much emphasis we place on these things. That said, we need to also appreciate that at the same time in this age and era, we have got to be responsible in the conduct in the media, and that we are making claims on tapes, video, audio. We need to be careful and sure that we will be held responsible for whatever we are putting on it. But I'm saying that all crime, it remains civil, not criminal. So that if the citizens feel that there is unnecessary conduct, that they have questions on the street of the state, and that's what you do is to invite the person to come with their lawyers. You don't go in Rambo style to go and arrest the person. That I will condemn any day, any time.
Let me also state clearly that we do not know for a fact whether he was invited or not. Let me just put that out there. Sweetie.
Okay, good.
Sweetie.
Well,
yeah. So my point is that it is based on what you said that he has been picked out. If he has been picked out, it will not be an indication.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for those thoughts. Right.
Yeah.
So while we are following that developing story of Ernest Kumi being picked up, we want to discuss the crux of the matter, which is the video and the petition, which has been thrown out. Now, both Inusaf Hussaini and Mr. Bonfe are saying that it's not reason enough to dissolve a committee to hear, the Chief Justice's case. What do you say to that?
Please, I didn't say that. You are attributing something I have not said to
me. No, I
me.
stand corrected.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Madam, good morning again.
Good morning.
Now, please, the video which you have put out, what is the timeline? What's the extent of it in terms of time?
Are you asking for the duration?
Hello?
Because it's about 20, 30 seconds.
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
What is the duration?
About 20, 30 seconds. About 20, 30
that you've put out. The video that has been put out. Yes, I can hear you. The video that it's about 20 seconds.
The connection is terribly frustrating. I'm sorry. We have to reconnect again with you and so we can hear you out. And Mr. Inusaf Hussaini, so at this point where the petition has been thrown out, this video is making rounds, what do you see happening going forward? Because it looks like the Chief Justice will be coming before her colleagues to plead her case.
So basically, what is happening, and let me backtrack, let me go back to deal with what Bonfe has said. We all, as citizens, have a duty to respect the independence of the judiciary. The independence of the judiciary itself is safeguarded by provisions of the Constitution. It's an arm of government. The independence of the judiciary is circumscribed only by the Constitution. So the judiciary is independent of interference from other authorities or persons insofar as the judiciary stays within the limits of the Constitution. Now, Article 125 clearly says that justice must be exercised in the name of the people. Now, so if justice emanates from the people and must be exercised in their name, if the people have a reason to believe that they are not getting justice, or justice is not being delivered by an independent arm of government, of the state, Article 146 gives the people the right and authority to bring a petition to deal with their perceived non-delivery of justice. That is how the connection between justice being exercised in the name of the people and the people having the right to hold the judiciary accountable is expressed in our Constitution. This independence of the judiciary is not at large. Mr. Bonfe, the independence of the judiciary is not at large. It must be exercised within the confines of the Constitution. Now, Article 146 of the Constitution is self-contained. And if you say self-contained, it means that both the substantive law dealing with the removal process and the procedure for the removers has been spelled out in Article 146. Now, Article 146 itself imposes 3 limitations on the exercise of executive authority by the President under Article 58. We have an institutional limitation on the exercise of that power in Article 146.6 in connection with the removal of the Chief Justice. We have a procedural limitation on the exercise of that power. And we have substantive limitations on the exercise of that power. And in that 146 procedural, the Chief Justice can only be suspended from office on advice from the Council of State.
Right.
substantive limitation on the exercise of that power, it's the president, when the committee concludes its work, the president is obligated to give effect to the recommendations of the committee. That's a substantive. The president cannot substitute his view or his position or what he thinks with the recommendation of the committee when the committee concludes its work. So you can see clearly that when you read Article 146, you will have the procedural limitations, you have substantive limitations, and you have institutional limitations on the exercise of powers of the president. Now, it appears to me, and it is backed by the case that we all refer to, Adechum, that the in-camera, and also reinforced by the consultative committee report of the 1969 Constitution, that the in-camera hearing is intended to protect the office of the Chief Justice from unnecessary and frivolous petitions. So when you look at the in-camera and the prima facie case requirement, it is for the protection of the office of the Chief Justice. We as lawyers, we as a people, our duty is to ensure the fidelity of the process.
Yesterday,
and
we
also
spoke to
the rule of law
in
the process, because the fidelity to the law will ensure that the rights of the Chief Justice or anybody subject to investigation under 146 is not abused.
All right, Mr. Fuseni. So yesterday we spoke to Kweku Ansah-Asare, former director for Ghana School of Law, and he said that it appears the Chief Justice has closed the door behind her. At this point, it looks like there's no coming back. What do you say to that?
Well, again, I do not have the powers to look into a crystal ball. I do not have that power. Now, I have, because of my training as a lawyer, I have failed, refused, and neglected to read any of the leaked petitions. Because I do not want to form an opinion before the committee concludes its work.
All right. And
now, the final thing I will say about my Ansah-Asare's comment is that no, the committee must be given the benefit of doubt to look into this matter dispassionately. Yes, I see what is happening clearly as a desperate attempt by the Chief Justice and their advisors to scuttle the process.
All right.
Because somehow she has been advised to believe or led to believe that this committee and the processes that have generated the establishment of this committee will not secure her interest.
Mr. Fuseni, thank you for that. And we want to engage Nana Ejebafo again. So, Nana Ejebafo, I was saying that it appears that the video rather justifies the reason the petition was thrown out. How do you respond to that?
I think that coming to the conclusion that the video justifies, the video does not justify the petition, very respectfully, in my humble view, is prejudicial. Prejudicial in the sense that the matter is yet to be determined, and so you cannot come to that conclusion. What the video, however, shows is that the named persons were all in the restaurant as alleged. What the video doesn't show us is what happens after the 20 seconds, because we all know that what happens in a restaurant where people have gone to eat goes beyond 20 seconds. So if you show us a video of 20 seconds duration, it will not tell the entire story, okay? And so we do not know. Two, what we don't know from the video clearly, we don't know when Mr. Thaddeus Sory went out of the restaurant. From the video, we don't also know when the judges went out of the restaurant. So just as I said, what happened at the restaurant beyond the 20 seconds
which is captured by the video is an untold story. And so for anyone to just jump to the conclusion that the video, very respectfully, is dismissive of the allegation is quite unfair, quite presumptuous, and I don't think that we are all being fair to the judges. We need to give them, we need to let the gentleman be given the opportunity, right, to prove whatever allegation he's making. If it is not true, then the judges will be clean. Unless that happens and you go and pick them up you go and pick the gentleman up in the manner which has happened, you are not doing the judges any good.
I have a quick.
Allegations have been made, please. Oftentimes, allegations have been made against judges, and they never get the opportunity to clear themselves. It's because of things like this, right? And we need to put a stop to it. Okay? Let us allow the petition to be given a hearing. Look, what the video shows is a primary fact that, consistent with the petition, the named persons, be it Mr. Thaddeus Sory, and the judges were all found at one location, right? What happened beyond the 20 seconds the video doesn't show. Apart from that, as lawyers, we know that the video will not be the only evidence. Potentially, the persons who were around can also be witnesses. I think that we, let's allow things to run. We shouldn't be in a haste to be dismissive in this country.
I think we should make tracks so that we just clarify for me. You've seen the video, right?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay. You also know that on these issues of whether it's Yoni Kulendi back then on the Jakpa interaction and all of that, sometimes they may not come out or want to themselves have to say anything. But if all of these issues were always thrown out to the courts, I don't think our courts wouldn't come to a grinding halt. It's based on merit. Is that not the case?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, let me move on from there. I think it would be a stretch. I think it would be a stretch if we went there. I don't want the conversation to be too long. The video, you speak about the video and maybe what may not have been shown, right? Beyond the 20, 30 seconds. Let's stick to the 20, 30 seconds that we know of. That is what we have so far. Does that video suggest any collusion in any way from what you saw?
Let me say this to you. If you appreciate evidence evaluation, you will not even say we should do the 20 seconds.
You seem not to get me. It has nothing to do with whether there will be subsequent information or there will be subsequent videos. I'm saying that on the face of the 20 seconds you saw, what did you see? That's all I'm asking you.
The 20 seconds I saw.
Yes, that's all I'm asking. I'm not saying whatever may come up will be irrelevant. No.
Comment on anything, right? I will not comment on anything, right? Which for instance, I know that there can be more. I will not. Because if I do that, I will not be doing, I may not be fair to either party. So I won't. And that's what I'm inviting you to also do. Because we all know that when persons go to restaurant to eat, they don't go there for 20 seconds.
Okay.
So if somebody brings you a video, right, which spans a period of 20 seconds, right, as a basis to comment on the existence or otherwise of the fact, we will not be fair to the actors involved, to the judges, and to the petitioner.
Let me ask you something interesting. If in that video we had seen all four gentlemen, or all three of them, bundle into one corner and start having some hush-hush conversation where they are seen to be whispering. Let's assume that had happened, knowing the nature of the case they have to work on, and it were only 20, 30 seconds. Would that be good enough for you to elaborate on?
My brother, I will not comment on hypothesis. I will not comment on hypothesis.
I see.
No lawyer, very respectful, if you're a trial lawyer who appreciates
the ramifications of some of these things, would come to conclusion. I will not. Right? Okay. I think that we should give the judges, or we should allow the judges to be cleared. You see, I don't like judges
which would entail what? Accused. To be cleared, which would entail what?
I don't like judges being accused. I am a trial lawyer. I respect my judges. I have a great deal of respect for them. I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Yoni Kolendi. I have a great deal of respect for all the judges in the video. Justice Siudu, I've practiced before him, he's a great man. Justice Amadou Tanku, I've practiced before him from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. He's a great judge. When allegations are made against people, if the person has been bold enough to petition the president, let the process run.
All right.
Let's not go and bring a 20-second video and invite people to comment on it.
All right.
Because we all know that when you go to a restaurant, what happens at the restaurant goes beyond 20 seconds.
All right. What is interesting, and we just want to segue.
You're sorry, or the judges walk out. Did you see them walk out of the restaurant? Did you see them walk out of the restaurant?
They were there to eat.
Exactly. So to the extent that you didn't see them walk out of the restaurant, that should tell that the video is not exhaustive.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
It's not exhaustive.
Before we let go of you, let's also look at the issue of Godfrey Yeboah-Dame and the petition against him on the back of that Kasela forcing Richard Jakpa issue. What would be your take on it so far? Because the commentary also has to do with the appropriateness, the ethics of the work, which is why he's been hauled to the General Legal Counsel. What would be your take on that?
When I was called, your producer very respectfully told me that he wanted to look at the matter before the Supreme Court.
Yes, this is my call. My producer was right, but this is my call. Because it's an issue that has come up, I'm sure from yesterday you heard it. If you want to comment on it, fine. If you don't, we can move on.
We as lawyers are all subject to rules of ethics. If somebody has made an allegation against him, let the person go and prove it at the General Legal Counsel. As we sit here, like I've told you, my position to discuss anything, right, which remains an allegation, okay, particularly against persons, let the person go and prove it. We should avoid politicizing a lot of things. Look, today, there's something you people do not probably know. People are being intimidated with prosecution unless they become witnesses. We're complaining of yesteryears, right? Have started again, right? If it was bad yesterday, it is bad today. So let's all be careful. My brother, let's begin to build a country of standards, of principles.
Okay. Thank you, Nana Bafwewa. Let's bring in Inusa Fuseni, sweetie.
Well, Mr. Fuseni, on that same matter about Godfrey Yeboah-Dame being hauled before the General Legal Counsel, I'm sure this has come to your attention at this point. What do you make of it? About that purported audio trying to coach Richard Jakpa in his testimony against now the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasela Forson, and all that?
The conduct of Godfrey Dame should have been the subject matter of disciplinary action or hearing, even at the time he was in office. So it's an action that has been taken now, and like the saying goes, better late than never. I say this because his conduct was even deprecated by the court. The trial judge condemned the conduct, and clearly in legal practice, no Attorney General has the right to conference with an accused person without the presence of the accused person's lawyer. And so when that happened, that was a breach of the ethics of the profession. and that could be subject to disciplinary action by the General Legal Counsel. And so I have no qualms about what is happening. But let me backtrack more and deal with the questions that your colleague was asking, Bafwe. Bafwe talked about total and comprehensive evidence. In the gathering of evidence, there is a principle that we all have learned at the law school. It's called res gestae. When you are confronted with a piece of evidence, what becomes your reaction? What reaction do you give? What manifests your reaction? Is it surprise? Is it condemnation? Is it denial? So res gestae is very important in determining what the 20-second video reveals to anybody who is a lawyer. First of all, we are told in the petition that these people set out to meet and chose as a venue a restaurant for that meeting. And that meeting was for a criminal purpose, a criminal enterprise. But that video revealed that when even the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature entered the restaurant premises, they did not recognize the presence of Thaddeus Sory. What does it tell you? What does it tell you? And they had to walk past him for somebody to be reminded that that was Thaddeus Sory sitting before. When Thaddeus Sory got up to pay, respect to the judges, he didn't sit down at their table. He bowed to them as customary of the practice and returned to his table. That 20-second video on the principles of res gestae to enable any descending person to form preliminary opinions. They are rebuttable presumptions. But that 20-second video will let you come up with some presumptions. And I want Bafwe to avert his mind to that. Bafwe tells you that he's not interested in hypothesis. Meanwhile, in his conclusion, he talks about people being forced to be witnesses, and that we are returning to an era which we before condemned. That is a hypothesis of Bafwe. It's not a statement of fact. It's a hypothetical statement given by Bafwe until he adduces evidence to show that people are being forced to be witnesses. So let's approach matters professionally and deal with them as professional lawyers.
All right, we're grateful.
That way we succeed in educating people to be beautiful and respectful citizens of this country. But when we infuse our legal training with partisan political considerations and commentary, we muddy the waters.
We're grateful for your time, Mr. Fuseni. We're so grateful. Let me bring in Mr. Bomfe. Mr. Bomfe, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Okay. We've had quite a conversation. You've missed snippets of it. If you have any thoughts, you could add them. But let's also talk about your petition at the Apex Court in respect of the suspension and impeachment of the Chief Justice. It's been thrown out. What's your next move?
No, that is not true, Ben.
There was a previous one, wasn't there? Or are you speaking? Is there a current one?
Hold on, please. First, my senior brother, Inusa Fusteni, made an assertion by me that I didn't make.
Okay.
I never said that the powers of the judiciary under the Constitution were untrammeled or unlimited. They were not at large. I never said so. Equally so, as much as the judiciary are limited scope per the terms of the Constitution, with them in Article 12530 and other issues. So are the powers of the President limited in exercising Article 140. And that's what we are intending in the court. That the President has a limited window in entering matters involving the judiciary. And it was contingent on certain, facts that must be established before they do that. And that is the case in the Supreme Court we have name of since
your connection is halting. Your connection is halting. It's difficult to follow you. Can you just make that point again?
I'm saying that I never said that the powers of the judiciary were at large, as he was alluding to me.
We got that part. Right.
Good. And I'm saying that just as the judiciary have limited powers under the Constitution within the law, so are the powers given to the president to exercise in Article 146 limited. It is not an open door for the president to do anything he pleases under Article 146.
All right.
And that is the contention of our present suit at the Supreme Court, pending which we wanted to injunct the committee that the president set up. And the Supreme Court disagreed with us that we should injunct the committee. That is what was decided on Wednesday.
That was the 4-1 majority decision.
Case that has been dismissed, but the injunction application pending the determination of our case that the Supreme Court said it will not be necessary to injunct the committee. Let's go ahead with your case whilst the committee is also working.
Okay,
So
I should have specified that, the interlocutory injunction.
Yeah.
I should have specified that. Is there any other reaction you have because we are basically capping off the conversation?
Well, not reaction. All I want to say is to reiterate the fact that at the heart of this matter is the delicate balance between among the organs of state, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And we need to be very careful that we don't set a precedent that will make, if you like, of no meaning to what we settled to have guiding our governance system in 1993, January 7, when this constitution came into being. We should hasten slowly, and we should be careful.
A final issue for you, the petition at the General Legal Council now for disciplinary measures to be brought against former Attorney General and still a lawyer, Godfrey Adame. What's your take on that?
Oh, if there's a petition there, I'm sure he will go and defend himself. And those who are petitioning will have the burden of proof first. When they have acquitted themselves, then the burden will shift for him to defend himself against whatever petition they have.
But as a lawyer, on the face of it, right?
I refrain from commenting on that matter. Let Mr. Adame go before the GLC and go to answer questions.
Thank you, gentlemen, for interacting with us on these matters this morning. We had Inusaf Hussaini, himself a lawyer, joining the conversation. We also had joining the conversation Bafo Ewa, who is also a lawyer and a member of parliament, joining the conversation. And we just had as well that petitioner, representative, Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems, also joining the conversation. Let's tell you a bit about Waylead Properties. Are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. And the invitation is to invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. Give us a call now on 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit www.waylead.org.
Well, let me tell you about Nesta's Home, because if you're looking for a home in a prime location, then Nesta's Home has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind the Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000, and you can call us today so we get you sorted. Here are the numbers: 0531 014 440 or 0531 014 447. You can also visit our website at www.nestas.com.gh. We'll take it. Okay, we have Syntex tank now, then.
Well, since we're talking about real estate, you cannot do without water, can you? Ghana, let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's actually very simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, it is built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So my people, just step outside, Kwabonting, check your tank. If it doesn't have the achichidea, the tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call now, 0244 335 168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough.
Are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Then look no further than Jackson Institute of Technology. It is the only NIIT authorized training center in Ghana. At JIT, we provide world-class IT training for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and more. We offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allows you to study either online or on-site. Plus, our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's digital world. And we are conveniently located on the Ring Road, near Circle, in the heart of Accra's Central Business District, and in Kumasi at Jackson Educational Complex headquarters at Ayediase, near KNUST. JIT provides easy access for students and corporate clients, and our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for corporate events, seminars, and training sessions. Call or send us a WhatsApp on these numbers: 0596 996 037 or 0596 996 038 or 0552 714 635. You can visit our website at www.jit.edu.gh. JIT, your gateway to a thriving IT career. We'll take a quick break. When we return, more action on the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for me to share with you my blunt thoughts. And I've titled it this morning, The City Conundrum, the Electricity Enigma, and the Cocoa Shocker, analyzing the core issues. The City Conundrum, the Electricity Enigma, and the Cocoa Shocker, analyzing the core issues. I'll shock you at the tail end with that data we're getting just this morning in respect of cocoa and how much we're raking in. But let's start from the Ghana city, our economy, because he used to serve at the office of former Vice President and flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Gideon Boako. And in recent times, he posed this, he put this out there. Clearly, Mahama rules, but Bawumia's ideas reign. On the back of the economic progress we are making, citing the stock of gold and all of that. Clearly, Mahama rules, but Bawumia's ideas reign. Is that the whole truth, though? On the back of that, we have, next slide, a member of the Movement for Change, Solomon Owusu, if we can go to the next slide. And his reaction to that was to say this: IT expert in government, economist in opposition. In other words, referring to the comments about the former vice president about credit for what had been done. He says, IT expert in government, economist in opposition. But what is really happening? Where does the truth lie? Has this administration done quite a bit to justify what is happening? I mean, the appreciation of the cedi, among others. Now, if you look at it, year to date, the cedi's appreciation stands at 24.1%. 24.1%. Let's go to the next slide. And if you look at the trajectory, which I showed you, I believe, sometime last week, if you look at it now, there's been a change because 2nd January 2024, we're looking at 11.8. It rose to about 16.2. In some instances, it went past 17 if you wanted it out there. And then came down to 14.7, shot up to 15.5. Between that time and now, it has hit rock bottom, if you like, 11.63 and still falling. 11 cedis, 63 pesos. And it's not just the dollar. There has been appreciation against the euro and even the Great British pound sterling. Next slide. Now, if you look at those dynamics, they are also impacting our debt stock because, mind you, it's hard currency. And if our currency appreciates, we make benefits. So the total debt as of March 2025 stood at 769.4 billion Ghana cedis. But what's the breakdown? Let's quickly go there. If you look at it, the external debt component is $28.5 billion. And you look at this figure here as well, which is the equivalent of 442.5 billion Ghana cedis. Next slide. If you look at the effect on the external debt component, you would still see the 28.5 billion, which remains unchanged, but now that translates into 332 billion Ghana cedis. If you look there, you would see that difference. Let's go to the next slide. Now, in terms of the total debt reduction so far, which is the meat of the matter, right? On the back of this appreciation, what does it mean to us in terms of our debt stock? It means that there is a reduction of 14.3% so far, amounting to some 110.5 billion Ghana cedis. That's the extent. 14.3% of our debt stock being removed on the back of the appreciation of the cedi. And this is the translation in real monetary terms. Next slide. There's also some commentary on it. We've heard so many people. One interesting one is Professor Lord Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School. He says, it's not going to run forever. That is this appreciation. If you look at the technical analysis side of it, the dynamics are so sudden and it's such a sharp drop for a country like Ghana to sustain. In some corridors, it's been whispered to me that there may be a push to push it down to about 8 Ghana cedis, which would be staggering because you know that when there's too much of an appreciation of a currency as well, it can also impact the business community or the market in other ways. But by and large, that would be good for the country, right? But how would we be able to stabilize it and maintain it? That's where the devil is. Next slide. If you look at the predicted year-end Ghana cedi rate, ABSA and others have come through with their own. Fitch Solutions projects 15.5 Ghana cedis. ABSA, you may have stumbled upon that latest report of theirs, predicts 14 Ghana cedis, something around 14 Ghana cedis. So at the end of the year, by next year, where will the cedi be? Next slide. Now, if you look at electricity distribution losses, which dovetails into the entire cedi conversation that we're having, it's quite interesting. The ECG faces a hydra-headed problem. Purchase for every 100 Ghana cedis purchased that the ECG then distributes, right? They lose, you see that, 20 cedi note, 10 cedi note, 2 cedi note, 32 cedis. That's 32%. Next slide. So if you look at ECG's purchases in the black line and ECG sales in the red line, you would see that the sales are not matching up to the purchase, which means the difference there accounts for loss. That's exactly what is happening. If you look at 2000 to now, this gap has been widening in terms of the losses that ECG incurs, which also affects the cash waterfall mechanism, which also affects our energy sector debt. Next slide. But then if you look at ECG's rising power sale losses as a percentage of power purchased, you would see that you're looking at that figure, the difference there, 32%. How do you account for that? It's practically impossible. Next slide. Then we can also look at ECG's losses comparatively with NETCO's losses and then the EPC losses. If you look at them, it appears the EPC loss, well, at the bottom there, 0.6%, still significant if you asked me. But then if you look at ECG versus NETCO losses, ECG in the red, NETCO in the black, you get a certain staggering picture. NETCO deals with the northern belt in terms of power distribution. It means we have a major problem there. NETCO, ECG with just about 31%, NETCO with just about 32%, hovering around the same area. How do we deal with it? Something must be done. This is not sustainable. Next slide. Then, in terms of the losses, again, the Electricity Company of Ghana, the largest distribution utility, consistently accounted for the majority of purchases and losses. You buy, you lose. No one does such a business, not even state business, where you want to break even. Next slide. Shall we go to the next slide? And this is the picture, because in the end, you want to ask, how is it going to affect me? Am I going to experience doomsday? What is going to be the impact on my business, on my home, on my school, on anything? So if you look at it, 450,000 barrels of light crude oil, how long will that last? Sometime in 2022, there was a projection by the Ministry of Energy then that 550,000 barrels of light crude oil would account for about 20 days under certain circumstances. What it means is that in this instance, we have 450,000, 100,000 less. So the dynamics, if we hold everything equal, this is what we're looking at. 450,000 barrels of light crude oil would give us some 16 days. Some project that if certain counterbalances are there, it could extend to 20 days. And that is the reality. So this is what this means, this latest batch that we've taken. Next slide. Now, in terms of the factors to consider, they would, like I said, severity of the gas supply shortfall. The shortfall, how severe it is, will determine how much we can get from that figure. Next slide. We must also look at electricity demand, peak hours, and how much we're expending within that period. Next slide. Now, I just wanted to shock you with this, wrap with this, right? In terms of cocoa, and my team has been doing some very diligent work, there's a staggering development. Because guess what? If you do the comparative analysis, and part of why our currency was also ailing, though gold prices had shot up, cocoa prices had dwindled. Guess what? In 2024, the first 4 months, we accrued 579 million from that in terms of revenue from cocoa. Guess how much we're getting in 2025, the first 4 months? 1.84 billion. The question is, what is happening? What has changed? We're still scratching our heads because it appears there's quite the output that is impacting, the revenue we're getting. Now, if you go to the next slide, which is my final slide, if you look at the billions, and this is US dollars we're talking about, in even more of a shocker, in 2024, 11 months within 2024, we raised $1.42 billion. In the first 4 months of 2025, in terms of cocoa revenue, we have got $1.84 billion. What is working? Well, time will tell. My name is Benjamin Akako. You know how I do it. I always leave you with the info. You read between the lines. You do your own analysis. And it's always a pleasure serving you my blunt thoughts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And let's always think Ghana. May God bless Ghana and make her great and strong.
Stories. That's what we tell you here at Joy News. And coming up, we want to tell you a very fantastic one. She wears many hats: a mother, church worker, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and mechanic, all intertwined to fulfill her desires and to make a difference in her family and community, one day at a time. Yehowadom Baden, who juggles all these responsibilities with pride, tells Hannah Odame on today's series of celebrating womanhood or motherhood, experiencing 5 miscarriages did not break her, but firmed her faith in God. Here's that story.
I declare. This daily routine of declarations and prayers fill Yehovah Baden's vehicle each day as she journeys to drop off her children at school. Her day, usually bustling, starts before the break of dawn, waking to pack snacks, tidy the house, topped with a quick breakfast before they set off. Once the children are out of her vehicle, she heads to Inkonim Grocery, located on the Pokwase stretch. Here, She quickly glances through the books and the shelves with her shop assistants.
You take this one and then you take the other one. Then this one, you have to fill space now, not ember with the other one.
Yehoah tells how miraculous it was to secure the shop.
There was this day, this about 4 years ago, I was passing through this church. That time, this store was uncompleted. Okay. And then like a flashback, I saw in Kunim grocery store. The building was literally like not completed. So I said, but why not be a store or how in Kunim? I got to the police barrier and turned. Then I saw no, it was empty. Okay, so I just drove on. Yeah. And I called one of my friends that's usually I share some of these things with. Like, this is what I saw. Like, you are doing my cash or say, you have to open a store or such. Like, okay, I'll pray about it. So I was like, okay, let me just do this challenge. I asked for the owner of the store for like good 2 months. I couldn't see the owner. There was this one day I was just passing through to church, and I saw they were having construction works here. So I drove in, and then luckily enough, I saw the owner. I said, okay, I've seen this store, blah, 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 blah. So usually, initially, it was just 2 stores. Okay. But now it's 3 stores. 3, yeah. I said, okay, please, I want this. So like, okay, a lot of people had come, and then we are contemplating who. But the owner of the store was with another man. So he said, okay, I'll speak to this man, and then I'll get back to you. I was like, okay. 2 days later, the man called me and said, the man I was with says I should give you the store. Just Where like are you? Yes, just like that. I'm like, okay, I'm home. I can get the next 5 minutes. I drove here, and they handed over the keys to me without paying. I'm like, okay, how much? We talk of, like, oh, that is my pastor. He says the store has to be for you. So that is how I couldn't go to store. Wow. Yes.
Wow. Well, that comes with some grace.
Yes, yes.
And then it comes to talk about your faith, which we will come to. With the inspection and briefing over, Yehoah sets off to her other office, where she works as director of His Majesty Haulage. Her recruitment into this role was not only divine, but obligatory. What exactly do you do here? What are we doing here? What's the whole company about?
So it's a haulage firm. Okay. I happen to be the lead managing all the stuff here. Okay. So yes.
What exactly goes on here?
We try to do hauling. So we haul to different destinations. Yes. So that's what we, and then we fix cars as well.
Oh, what kind of cars?
Trucks.
Trucks.
Yes.
Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, when you come here, give us your day. Like when you get here, what do you do?
So when I leave home, I go to pass by the store quickly, and then I come here. When I come here, I have to make sure that I supervise every work that goes on here from 8 or 9 to like sometimes 10 p.m. that I leave here. I have to make sure trucks are fixed well, all parts are in place. So I coordinate, manage the whole stuff. So literally that's what. And then I help them sometimes fix the cars.
You do? Yes. How did you learn that?
So I learned it on the job.
Okay.
Yeah, so I come around just like I am here. I go to in every artisans, the welders, the straighteners, and then I see what they do, and then I learn from it.
So you have all of that here?
All of that here.
Okay, about how many workers are here? Are you managing? About how many are you managing here?
A lot. Casual workers, about almost 160. 160.
How did you get into this?
It was my uncle's. It's my uncle's. And then from some time, I remember this about 16 years ago. I was in university, then I came to visit him. And then he says, oh, Nana cry, oh, my kaya, no, ching ching, oh, it was like, me, now before I got chili, I said, he's like, nah, come and work. Like, no. Then he forced me to come and work. So I started working, and then school reopened. Then quickly.
When you came, what's the work?
Receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah. Then school reopened quickly. I went back to school because the work was too tedious for me. I went back to school. Just about 2 weeks, then the secretary then called me that you have to come back to work. I said, to do what? The uncle says, come and work. But I'm going to school. Like, how do I just come and work? It's like, nah, you have to come and work. So I had to switch schools. I had to switch sessions, go to weekend school. And I started working as a receptionist. Then I moved to secretary. Then I moved from stage to stages, and now I'm the general manager.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So where is your uncle, the one who pushed you to get this done?
He's still around.
Does he still come around?
Sometimes.
So you're basically running the place?
Yes.
As she tinkers with engines and tools, gives instructions, drives trucks, and keeps records, The day sometimes ends for the mother of 3 after 10 p.m. On days she has the privilege to leave early, which is mostly after the sun has set, Yehowa changes gears once more, this time as a lead content creator and sanctuary keeper at her church. And in between all these, she coordinates activities for her philanthropy work, be it fundraising, monitoring, awareness campaigns, food drives. Yehowa doesn't miss her children waiting for her before they sleep. But she's excited that after 3 miscarriages, her ears can now get filled with their giggles and chats each morning.
That was when I lost 5 children, 5 miscarriages. Yes, and then last week my first daughter turned 10. Then I looked back and I was like, wow, God has been faithful. So yeah.
Within a space of what did you lose? 5? Did you
2
say
years?
5?
Yeah, 2 years.
Within 2 years, you lost 5 pregnancies.
Right.
Did you know were you told the cost? Was it the same cost throughout?
So when I got pregnant with Adansie, that was when the doctor detected that the cervix was some sort of loose, blah, 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 blah. So with all 3 children, they had to do me seclage when I was 12 weeks old. So they do seclage when it's time for delivery, then they take off the...
I did tell you that it was a fabulous story, and the full story will air on Joy News Desk, so stay glued to the Joy News channel. Now let's talk about, let's pivot from motherhood to celebrating children, because the Big Chef junior season is ongoing, and Michelle Ejekum, the host of Big Chef, is in the studio with me this morning. Michelle, looking beautiful as ever. How are you?
Thank you.
So, I'm grateful. We had a conversation prior to the launch of this season, which is season 4.
Yes.
And already you've aired 2 episodes already. How has those been?
Well, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. So, we started the season with the Mother's Day edition, where we had our mothers coming to cook with the kids. So it was fun. At some point, we realized the mothers were rather doing the cooking instead of the kids. But anyway, that was just sort of an opening for them to have the bond and,
So that was no eviction?
No, not at all. That was just all fun.
Yeah.
Then last week, we had our rice challenge, which was their very first task, like their real task.
Yeah.
And look, it was amazing. The kind of meals they made, we had rice burgers, we had rice fufu and carrot light soup, which won the star meal. The star meal.
Rice slice soup?
No, rice fufu with carrot light soup.
Ah, okay. Who made that?
So she blended the rice, sewabon soup.
Okay.
She blended the rice and then she added her cassava and plantain, just like you make your fufu.
Okay.
Then she decided to make it like banku.
Man, that's so innovative in the kitchen. I love it.
And within 40 minutes, this was done.
Okay.
This was done within 40 minutes.
No, I trust them.
It's been awesome so far. This week, we're going back into the kitchen and we're doing the Indomie challenge. We want to see what they can create out of Indomie.
I want to watch that as well.
You must watch
because it looks like there's just one way we create Indomie here in the country.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to it. So when is this happening? And so that we can make an appointment to view.
Yeah, so Sunday at 4 p.m. on Joy Prime, Big Chef airs. And we're taking the Indomie challenge. Come and see, sit down with the family, the kids, watch how innovative and how creative these contestants are. And if you have a favorite in there, you make sure that you vote for him or her as well. And the code is *711 *60# to keep her in the favorite. Sunday will be our very first eviction as well. So if you miss out on voting for your favorite and your favorite does not also do so well with being creative with a dish, he or she may go home.
So this is the first eviction. The first time one of these 12 children will be cut with a knife or scissors out of the competition. Michelle, give us your final word and then we'll be popping off.
Right, yeah. So I want to encourage our viewers, please tune in with the family, watch how innovative these kids are, and make sure that you're voting for them. That's very important because we want you involved in the show. This time around, we decided that, look, let's start from day one. You're invited to, keep pushing your favorite.
What's the short
code?
What
you can do is to vote by dialing *711 *60# to keep him or her in the competition.
Please, again, so those who missed, they can get it.
*711 *60#.
Thank you. Michelle Ejekum is the host. So when you do tune in, she'll be the one showing you all the goodies in the kitchen and having all the fun. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, it's Friday and we're just about getting into the E-Corner. Noella is standing by right after this break. Not E-Corner yet, but in about 5 minutes, let's tell you about Eco Period, reusable sanitary pads, a beautiful product from Amdia. And in the studio with me, in addition to Amdia, is the Assembly Member for Abelengpe, Mr. Badu. Thank you all so much for joining us. I remember having a conversation with you, Amdia, about eco-friendly, reusable sanitary pads, and today we are getting to see it. Tell us about this wonderful product and why we need to shine the light on it.
Exactly. So globally, about 500 women are suffering in silence every month just to manage their menstruation because they lack access to accessible products, affordable products, to manage their menstruation in a dignified way. So we came out through research, intensive research, to understand that women are looking for affordable products to manage their menstruation. Women are looking for products that are free from all the synthetic gels and chemicals that give them rashes and allergic reactions and infections. And of course, the world is moving towards sustainability. So we are looking for products that are helping to protect our environment.
Right.
The normal parts in the markets, which are made from 90% plastic, take about 800 years to decompose, sweetie.
Yeah.
I was living the entire life. So imagine all the parts you and I have used are still lying somewhere, they've not decomposed.
Now, this conversation is even more important because this weekend we are celebrating World Menstrual Hygiene Day. And this is a fantastic way to usher in. So, Mr. Badu, tell me what you are doing here.
Okay, so it's coming up in my area, in Abelengpe Leisure area. I have a partner here who is partnering me to just make sure that we do it. So the schools in my area, together with, I think, especially to, I think what government schools in my area, they are the most vulnerable people anytime it comes to menstrual hygiene. So we've been able to get a partner who is going to do it for us, who demonstrate how to use it. And these ones are reusable ones.
Yeah.
And we are so happy to have them if it is so, because of the expensive ones that we have on the market.
Right. And for all children who can't afford sanitary pads because of the price, this is the best way to go. So what are we doing as partners to mark World Menstrual Hygiene Day? Amdia.
Yes, so globally, every year on the 28th of May, the world celebrates women, create awareness on menstrual hygiene, and break stigma. And that is exactly what we are doing. And 28th May, because, you know, the menstrual cycle is, we have a 28-day menstrual cycle.
Yes.
And that is why. So this was started in 2014, and it has gotten a momentum globally everywhere. Organizations, individuals are celebrating. And so are we going to celebrate with Honorable Teddy in the Abelengpe electoral area.
Yeah.
In the Ayawaso municipality. So we are bringing schoolgirls together, about 5 schools, and support them with sustainable alternative, because menstruation is a monthly occurrence and they will need monthly supply. So if you want to really impact the young girl, we need to give her a product that is easily available for her, that is always available, and a product that is good on her body.
All right. Well. Thank you so much, Amdia. And final word from you, Mr. Badu.
Yes. So my community people are expecting Amdia to come and give at least a few of the pass to them. We are so happy at least to have her, and we are waiting on the D-Day on 28th day. So everybody in Abelengpe and then Ayawaso environment were entreated every one of you to come and join us and listen to us whilst we demonstrate to our students. Because they are
well, unfortunately, that's all the time that will allow us. Hopefully, we can get you again so that we can demonstrate to our audience exactly how we use this reusable, eco-friendly sanitary pads. Amdia is the founder of the CEO of Eco Periods, and Mr. Badu, Teddy Badu, is the assembly member for Abelengpe electoral area in Ayawaso. Thank you. So I'm handing you over now to Noella Karine. She brings you E-Corner right after this. me begin by saying a huge, fantastic job done to Benjamin and Sweetie for a good job done so far. But of course, you're welcome to the soft side of life right here on the AM show on the Joy News channel. Of course, I get to softly launch you into the weekend. You know it's Friday, and you know we love Fridays, right? Right, so you're welcome to E-Corner right here on the show. I'm Noella Cariniali. In case you're watching for the first time, well, I'm about to be your favorite tea server or tea brewer. Whatever category you want to put me in, I'm good. But whatever tea you're looking for, we're going to be sipping right here. And right after this, I get serving. Only question is, are you ready to sip? You get to answer that. All right, so it's E-Corner, Noella Cariniali. I am beautifully seated. Let's get right into business. And we're going to start. So I have a mixed bag of stories for you today, okay? I have from sad stories to exciting stories. And I'm thinking I should probably start on a sad note so we can end on a high note. And speaking of a sad note, let's talk about Dada KD. Now, for you, Generation X or Y, that's the generation that preceded us, the millennials, you probably know this man, okay? So let me speak to the Gen Z and Generation Alpha, okay? They probably have no idea who this man is. So this man is your typical Mario or your typical R. Kelly, if we're talking international, but he is a talented, fantastic, high life musician, is behind several hits. In fact, one of them is Fatia Fatankroma. I brought you excess of that song. Listen. Talk of melody, talk of composition, talk of lyrics. He was nothing short of a fantastic musician. And I say was because this week we heard the unfortunate news of his passing. We all don't know what happened. We understand that he was found unresponsive in his home by his cook. And very shortly, I'm going to play you that video or that interview his manager had with one of our in-house journalists where he confirmed that. But listen, this man is one of those that, dedicated his entire life to doing music. He believed in the sacredness, or the sacredness, I should say, of music, and decided, you know what, I think music is one of those that I should just do full-time, authentically and organically. And he did it. He, footed all the bills himself. In fact, weeks or months before his demise, he went on several interview platforms where he was asked about his challenges, and he spoke about a number of them. He did not hide the fact that he was battling some form or sort of depression, talked about the fact that, he has been footing this, music thing by himself, never been, signed on to any label. And so since the inception of his career, he has been taking care of the cost. And, if you are very educated about the music business, you would know. In fact, we've had several conversations with record labels where they, who are supposed to be the ones that have money, they complain bitterly about how, the music business can sometimes be overwhelming and underwhelming as well. And so for a musician to foot all of that and also not get the kind of return on investment he was expecting, you can imagine that kind of, how do I even say this? Like the kind of mental struggle he had to deal with going through all of that. But listen, let's listen to his manager share with us how he passed away.
That activity at Tansoma, and he has a cook
somebody who helped him for home
With his
chores,
meals. Okay.
and other things. So the lady went to town, and she came back. When she came back, she went to Dada Katie's room and said, "Oh, Dada, I'm back. Do you want me to do something for you?" When she reached the room, Dada Katie was lying on the floor, unconsciously.
Oh.
And unfortunately, our car we are using has a problem. So we have a taxi driver, which we call him for everything we are doing. So the lady called the taxi driver to come and pick Dada to the hospital. And unfortunately, they did not think, oh, let's get him to Kolebu. But what they are saying is, he's a public figure,
yeah.
I think in private hospital. That's where they start at our SDA hospital. And that moment, they have to rush into the theater, emergency room. They put oxygen on him. The doctor said everybody should get out. In 5-10 minutes, the doctor came out and said that he could not survive.
Wow.
Really sad story there. A lot of people are speculating that, you know, he must have committed suicide. We cannot confirm that. We're still, you know, we still have our tabs on the story. We haven't seen any report from the family on the cause, official report from the family on, you know, the cause of his death. But we're going to keep our tabs on this story and bring you updates should there be. But listen, because this is connected to mental health, I think it's a good time for me to tell you to slow down, okay? A lot of times our minds spiral and we try to, you know, work against time, work faster than time or whatever. I mean, I tell you what I do. I work with time, okay? I do what I can do and I leave the rest. In fact, I give the rest the permission to sort themselves out because listen, I'm not about to do everything in this life. So if you are one of those people struggling mentally, please give the rest the permission to sort themselves out and sort you out, okay? Do not, you know, lose yourself over things you cannot control, all right? And make time your best ally, okay? This is very touchy for me, but anyway, let's move on to some other exciting stories. And I'm going to tell you a story about Kokoveli, another musician I know the Generation Zs and Alphas would have absolutely no clue about. But yeah, he was part of, should I call them a boy band? Were they a boy band? Him, KK Fosu, Samini, I'm not sure. But yeah, they collaborated, I beg your pardon, on a song, a particular song called Zaza. Now that song has been trending this week and I'll tell you why. But first, listen to that song.
So sissy Papanam yenu na bouncy konifa Yes a pepe bet na sa bouncy ko benkum Se eye mo fe Mo pese mo suande jese mo ko kaboje E wana mo behu asanum ahoro Patronic a roka jatum se eye tough Bunji nya kot na ko bisa konko Ono se beche wese kwe chale kajen I say abaso, me say abaso Onya waso homia kwa sa zan 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 Abaso Zan 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 Kokoveli wasunaba Uga, uga ga Kokoveli wasunaba Zan 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 Kokoveli wasunaba.
Okay, so that's the famous Zaza song by Kokoveli. He featured Samini. Did you see? I mean, look at how young Samini was. And KK Fosu as well. Now, this song was trending this week because a certain musician who collaborated with Nigerian musician Shali Poppy released a song where it could clearly be seen that he sampled from Zaza. I don't want to talk much, but let's listen to Frene's song and then I'll tell you more. I won't lie, I like this rendition of the song or sampling of the song. I mean, it's jiggy, it's BT, if that's even a word. Anyway, so this musician is called Frenna, and he collaborated with Nigerian musician Shali Poppy on the song, and clearly you can tell he sampled from Cocovelli's Zaza. And I remember on social media, a lot of the industry gatekeepers, okay, or industry enthusiasts, they were having a conversation on social media, like, you know what, Charlie, this one there, cool chuck for Cocovelli, he for sue them, take some $1 million and things. I mean, because last 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so, we were talking about Alabaster Box and medical, right? So they cited this as another case of copyright infringement. And so I decided to reach out to Cocovelli to get a response from him. He said he wouldn't speak publicly about it, but my sources, very close sources, tell me that apparently he was consulted, his permission, apparently or allegedly, okay, before they come and sue me. I don't get shit to give you people. Anyway, so I hear that he was consulted, or his permission was sorted before the sample was done. And what's interesting, the Frenna musician guy, he is actually a Ghanaian. He's called Francis Edusei. Okay, he's a Ghanaian, but he lives in somewhere in Europe. He's a Dutch musician, okay, but of Ghanaian descent. And so I can understand why he would want to, sample, Cocovelli's song, get inspired by him and all of that. Anyway, again, my tabs are on the story. Any update, you know where to get your updates, right here on eCorner. Let's move away from Frenna, Cocovelli, and bring you Wendy Shay. Wendy Shay, she's been trending. She's been doing a lot of stuff, from her benevolence with taking care of a certain young lady who helped one of her songs, trend, went there to perform. The girl was dancing to the song. The song went viral and sort of rekindled people's love for the song once again. And so she decided to take care of this girl. Apart from that, she has collaborated with Jamaican superstar Mavado on a new joint. We're going to talk more about that. But she's been going, I guess, on an interview tour. And this week went to London, sat with Adeshokpe. If you know Adeshokpe, he is like a Afrobeat enthusiast or ambassador. He loves to describe himself as an Afrobeat ambassador. They had a beautiful conversation where she recounted her challenging, journey with music. And apparently she says she is the most bullied musician in Ghana. I disagree, but let's listen.
Mind was to just go and pursue my career and sell my culture to the world. That was the goal. For those who don't know my story, I went into the space when we had lost a gem. The young Ebony.
I remember.
Right.
I remember.
Exactly. And she was at her peak when she left.
Absolutely.
So a young female artist who was gonna shine would definitely automatically be compared to her.
Walk in her shadows.
And apart from that, I was signed by the label she was signed on to. Right after that.
And that was just the same year, basically, 2018.
The same year she passed away. And so I don't know if it was her fans or, her the music lovers or, Ghanaians, most of them were like, you can never be like her. It was mind-blowing to get that reaction from them, because growing up in Germany, I was so pro-Africa. Ghana, I love my people. God. I want to sell the culture to them. And then facing racism in Germany.
And then I come rejection. And then... What was that like for a young girl? How did you deal with that?
It wasn't easy. I mean, definitely I had to build my self-image, because, sometimes it might blur your identity.
Facts.
Exactly. So, fast forward, I was hated. I'm the most bullied artist.
All right, so that was Wendy Shay. I have a lot of opinions to share on this, but time isn't on my side. Time is fighting against me now. So, yeah, I'm going to let it pass. But I'm so proud of her. She has grown. I mean, I don't entirely agree with what she had to say, but listen, I won't also dismiss her experience and feelings as well. So yeah, kudos to you, and I wish her all the best. I would have told you about Ochame Kwame's son, who has hinted on the possibility of him, you know, charting his father's path and taking music up. But yeah, time again is wrestling against us. And so let me wrap up. And director, you need to take a look at me, director. Take a look at me, please, because I need to do a special birthday shout, okay? So happy birthday to Abokuma Aboga of MTN. I'm wishing you grace and good health on this special day of yours. This is coming from Kingsley, my producer, and all of us here at the AM show. And so that's it for E-Corner. And of course, I get to also wrap up the show. I want to say, once again, say a very big thank you to my colleagues, Sweetie Abochi. I wish they could have joined me or something, but yeah, they're somewhere in dreamland, having fun. So yeah, I almost said congrats to them, but kudos to Sweetie and Benjamin for a good job. And of course to you for watching as well. I'm Noella Karen Niali. This is E-Corner. But yeah, we're wrapping up. It's a Friday. Have fun. Be good. Be fabulous. I'll see you next week.